Chapter 79. However, Suyu had only used half of his strength. It seemed that after breaking through to level 7, his strength had indeed risen to another level. Although Yu Wuhua had not used his full strength, if the two were to go all out, Suyu should be able to fight to a draw with a level 8. Just as he was about to attack again, a fragrant wind suddenly assaulted him. Xia Jingyu floated to his side. "Brother Yu, let me do it." With a hint of eagerness in her eyes, Xia Jingyu's whole body merged with the holy decree. The half-saint grade holy decree, the realm of nature, was everywhere. Her every movement was mighty and natural. Swish, the boundless realm of nature enveloped all directions. Xia Jingyu's beautiful eyes surged with deep comprehension. Suyu was stunned. Was this Xia Jingyu perfecting the holy decree? Thinking about it, Suyu immediately understood. In terms of comprehension, Xia Jingyu was more than 20 times better than Suyu. Suyu could cheat and use time to control comprehension. It was only natural that she would have some comprehension at this time. "Oh, the little beauty is going to do it yourself? I am deeply honored." Yu Wuhua's pair of lascivious eyes looked at Xia Jingyu's graceful body greedily. Although Suyu was powerful, if that blow just now was his limit, then tonight this little beauty must be his plaything. However, when he noticed Xia Jingyu's half-saint grade holy decree, his face instantly turned serious. Xia Jingyu's snow-like eyes turned to deep comprehension. Her white finger pointed at Yu Wuhua, pointing from afar. Flower-pinching finger. Poof! Instantly. The blood in Yu Wuhua's chest seemed to be summoned, breaking through his flesh and opening a finger-sized bloody hole in his chest. Blood spurted out. Yu Wuhua's expression changed, aghast. With Xia Jingyu's finger pointing, Yu Wuhua's body seemed to explode, with bloody holes appearing one after another. Yu Wuhua could sense that Xia Jingyu was still in the exploration stage. Once she matured and used it, she could make all the blood in his body gush out and kill him on the spot. Swoosh! Yu Wuhua was terrified. How could he dare lust for Xia Jingyu's beauty? As a rapist, Yu Wuhua was not good at fighting, but at movement techniques. A clear shadow flickered, its speed extremely fast. Swish! But at that moment, a purple figure suddenly caught up. Feast of Ice and Thunder. Suyu's movements were natural, and the power of ice and thunder condensed between his fingers at the same time. The alternating purple and white light beam pierced through Yu Wuhua's chest. Ah! Puff! Yu Wuhua was horrified. He was injured. This youth actually possessed a mysterious saint-grade holy decree as well. Flower-picking finger. Right at this moment, a cold voice came from behind him. Puff! Puff! Yu Wuhua's bloody holes continued to burst open, and blood gushed out of his body. In just a short moment, he had lost 40% of his blood. Putong, bearing the joint holy will attack of the two, Yu Wuhua fell to the ground with serious injuries. However, it was not over yet. Netherworld Demon Pupil. The dark green light flickered in an instant, and Yu Wuhua's mind suffered endless pain. After a long while, Yu Wuhua stood respectfully on Suyu's body, his eyes lifeless. As Suyu and Xia Jingyu looked at each other, they both felt slightly indifferent. With their combined strength, they were already able to subdue a level 8 lower tier. If it was a one-on-one fight, there was no need to fear a level 8 lower tier. His improvement was unimaginable. Not long ago, in front of a level 8 lower tier, they could only flee. As Suyu collected the elixir and searched Yu Wuhua's soul, Xia Jingyu fell into a state of enlightenment. Her holy decree had also stepped into the ranks of the saint grade from half-saint grade. The improvement of her holy decree gave her a new understanding of the reverie of dewdrops. After a long while, Xia Jingyu slowly opened her eyes filled with joy. "Brother Yu, I have broken through to the upper tier of this deity-level cultivation technique." Suyu was envious. Both of them had broken through to the deity-level cultivation technique, but he had narrowly escaped with his life, while Xia Jingyu had come to the right place. The gap in their powers of comprehension was jaw-dropping. Xia Jingyu's strength had greatly improved, catching up to Suyu's level. Now that they had joined forces again, Even if two level 8 lower tiers came together, they were confident they could make them stay. Now that they had obtained a Saint-grade spear elixir, they still needed 7 more to break through to level 7 upper tier. With a flash of excitement in his eyes, Su Yu said, "Jingyu, our chance has come." It turned out that the reason Yu Wuhua had rushed to the periphery was because a team of extremely powerful sanctuary disciples had killed their way to the core area. With the 3 of them joining forces, countless level 8 slayers had died or been injured. They were undoubtedly the combination of Long Xiaoye and the 2nd and 3rd ranked prospective holy disciples. Their strength was enough to sweep away almost all the slayers. Yu Wuhua was lucky enough to escape and fled to the periphery. Like him, there were many level 8 strong men who had not come out of hiding, fleeing for their lives. At this time, if they went deeper into the inner periphery, they could intercept and kill many level 8 strong men. Swoosh, swoosh! 3 figures cut through the quiet mountain forest, heading toward the depths of the evil forest. 3 days later, Su Yu, Xia Jingyu, and Yu Wuhua stood at the junction between the inner periphery and the core area. Along the way, they had encountered many fleeing level 8 strong men. Unfortunately, they were in groups of 3 or 5, traveling together. Su Yu and the others could only temporarily retreat, not daring to make a move. As they got closer to the core area, there were more and more strong men. Suddenly, a light shout was heard. Su Yu used his pupils to look. 5 miles away, a heavenly sanctuary disciple was entangled with 2 strong men of level 8 lower tier. The heavenly sanctuary disciple was Yin Shu, a terrifying strong man ranked 3rd among the prospective holy disciples. At the age of 27 or 28, his strength had reached level 8 lower tier. At this time, Yin Shu was besieged by 2 level 8 lower tier slayers. He could only parry and was surrounded by danger. Su Yu's eyes lit up, and he charged forward with Xia Jingyu and Yu Wuhua. Yin Shu's chest was cut open with a huge blood groove, bleeding incessantly. His blood was pale, and his physical strength was overdrawn. In contrast, the 2 slayers, with their combined strength, were unscathed. "Big brother, he can't hold on any longer. Don't fight recklessly. Just wear him down to avoid a counterattack." Yin Shu was furious. Their team had suddenly been intercepted by a large team of slayers. The 3 were scattered, and he was besieged by 2 of his peers. His life was in danger. Swoosh, swoosh. However, at this moment, 3 figures attacked as fast as lightning. The 3 were ferocious like a torrent. The 2 slayers were injured in an instant. Infernal demon pupils. At the same time, a dark green light shone, and the 2 slayers screamed as they were controlled. All of this seemed to take a long time, but in fact it happened in the blink of an eye. Yin Shu did not even have time to react. Among the sanctuary disciples, besides the 3 of them, was there such a powerful combination? It was Su Yu, who had resisted the Holy King, and Xia Jingyu, who had pleaded for Su Yu. The last one was a level 8 lower tier slayer. His eyes were dull, and he was being controlled. "It's you." Yin Shu was shocked. In his memory, Su Yu and Xia Jingyu were the new generation of prospective holy disciples. Their abilities were barely passable, but they were only at the level of Zhang Mingyi. Su Yu responded with a smile and took away the 2 elixirs. In this way, there were a total of 3 Saint-grade spirit elixirs. Now, with 2 level 8 lower tiers under his control, there were a total of 3 puppets. If they encountered a group of slayers, they could completely ambush them. Xia Jingyu's beautiful eyes flashed with joy. Looking at the situation, in less than 10 days, they might be able to collect 8 elixirs and break through to level 7 upper tier. Wait! Yin Shu saw them take away the elixirs, and his brows slightly creased. Su Yu's eyes were slightly cold. "Why, senior brother Yin, do you think we should not take the elixirs?" He was already numb to the act of biting the hand that fed him. If Yin Shu did not know what was good for him, so he would not be merciful. Unexpectedly, Yin Shu lightly shook his head. He did not covet the elixirs. That's not it. Since you were the ones who killed them, The elixirs should naturally belong to you. Then what advice does senior brother Yin have? Suyu asked. Yin Chu looked around at the three puppets behind Suyu, his eyes filled with joy. He then shot a glance at Suyu and lightly nodded. He looked down at him and ordered, "From now on, you listen to my command and lead the three puppets to meet up with senior sister Long." Immediately, his gaze swept to Xia Jingyu beside him. He slightly frowned and hesitated for a moment. "For your sake, she can also come, as long as she does not drag us down." "All right, let's go." Yin Chu was in a good mood. He waved his hand and headed back in the direction of the escape, looking for Long Xiaoya and the others. Unexpectedly, there was no movement behind him. Looking back, Suyu turned a deaf ear. He tidied up and walked in the other direction. Yin Chu was slightly stunned. He coldly scolded, "Suyu, what are you doing? Why are you not listening to my command?" Suyu coldly glanced at him and asked, "Who do you think you are? Why should I listen to your command?" "You." Yin Chu had a strong sense of integrity. He patiently said, "When it comes to adapting to the enemy, of course, I am more suitable to command the puppets. That way, the puppets can play their role and achieve twice the result with half the effort. It is a good thing for you to listen to my command." Somewhat annoyed, Yin Chu snorted. "How many people want to curry favor with me? Now that I have given you the opportunity, you do not know how to cherish it." This was not a boast. As the third-ranked prospective holy disciple, Yin Chu's qualifications were extraordinary. Many prospective holy disciples who wandered at the bottom could not stand the fierce competition. They all wanted to find a backer to avoid oppression, and at the same time, receive guidance and various resources. For this reason, there were countless prospective holy disciples who wanted to curry favor with him. If they could be ordered by him, it would definitely be something that those prospective holy disciples could not wish for. Unfortunately, it was difficult for ordinary prospective holy disciples to even see him, let alone have the opportunity to be ordered by him. New holy disciples like Suyu and Xia Jingyu had average abilities. If they wanted to climb up the ranks earlier, it was a wise decision to rely on him. Shaking his head, Yin Chu realized that Suyu and Xia Jingyu were only 14 years old. They were not well-versed in the ways of the world and did not handle matters well enough. It was normal for them to be so impulsive. But what made Yin Chu angry was that Suyu had a faint mocking look in his eyes. "Since you are so powerful, you can catch the puppets yourself. Why order me? Besides, leave the opportunity to curry favor with you to others. We do not care for it." Suyu took Xia Jingyu and left indifferently. Yin Chu had a strong sense of integrity. "Suyu, don't be so ungrateful. Once we return to the heavenly sanctuary, I can make it difficult for you to survive." Among the prospective holy disciples, who would dare to not give him face? With a secret order, there were plenty of prospective holy disciples who would make things difficult for Suyu. Suyu had a mocking smile on his face. Yin Chu could not help but laugh angrily. Relying on the puppet, "You are overconfident. Have you forgotten your own strength? You can try." Suyu stood with his hands behind his back. He stepped out from the puppet. His meaning was obvious. Even without the puppet, he still had the qualifications to look down on Yin Chu. Repeatedly being looked down upon by Suyu, Yin Chu was angry. He strode forward, his level 8 vital energy surging. "Fine. You are new, still immersed in the dream of being the heavens ruler of the empire. Let me teach you the cruel reality." Suyu's patience had run out. Yin Chu felt too good about himself. Chapter 80. Swoosh. Just as the two were about to attack, two figures flew over. "Stop!" A delicate, dignified shout sent shivers down one's spine. Yin Chu trembled and had to stop. He turned back with awe in his eyes, respectfully greeting Senior Sister Long, Senior Brother Qin. A young woman with an impressive figure and an elegant young man in a white robe walked over side by side. They were the strongest prospective holy disciples that countless prospective holy disciples looked up to. Long Xiaoya, a level 8 peak prospective holy disciple, was the strongest person closest to becoming a holy disciple. Qin Yueming, a level 8 upper tier prospective holy disciple, was only a few steps away from becoming a holy disciple. The arrival of the two gathered a deep sense of oppression. Su Yu and Xia Jingyu's hearts thumped. This was the evil forest. If Long Xiaoya and Qin Mingwei had ill intentions, they would not be spared. In particular, Long Xiaoya was a little provocative towards Su Yu. Su Yu's desire to become a holy disciple had aroused Long Xiaoya's dissatisfaction. Long Xiaoya had a calm temperament, like an unsheathed sword. She would split the earth if she did not move. A pair of cold eyes landed on Su Yu's figure for a long time. Just as Su Yu and Xia Jingyu were preparing for the worst, she lightly nodded. No wonder you have the heart to rebel against the Holy King. Your ability is also impressive. In just 10 days, you broke through to level 7 lower tier. Amazing. Yen Chu was slightly stunned. 10 days ago, he was only a level 5 upper tier. Now, he was a strong level 7. The speed of his progress was incredible. She glanced at the puppets behind Su Yu, secretly disdainful. If I also cultivated the technique to control puppets, I could sweep the evil forest alone. Long Xiaoya glanced at the 3 puppets behind Su Yu and nodded. How about cooperating with us? We are about to step into the core area and kill the rumored Slayer King. Slayer King? The strongest level 9 Slayer? Su Yu and Xia Jingyu gasped in shock. Rumor had it that the Slayer King had used 3 true holy disciples to capture him alive, and one of the holy disciples had been injured. This showed the ruthlessness of the Slayer King. At the same time, the Slayer King also had 2 divine Great Spirit elixirs. Its effects were immeasurable. Long Xiaoya did not hesitate to take the risk and venture deeper. It could be seen how tempting this pill was. Su Yu muttered to himself for a moment. Mentally, Su Yu could accept working with Long Xiaoya and the others, but rationally, Xia Jingyu voiced out Su Yu's concerns. Senior Sister Long, please forgive me for speaking bluntly. If we join forces, it may not be too much of a problem to sweep through the evil forest, but capturing and killing a level 9 might not be enough. The threshold between the 8th heaven and the 9th heaven was like the difference between heaven and earth. Long Xiaoya's pretty face was brimming with confidence. Since I dared to come here, I definitely have full confidence. Shua. Long Xiaoya took out a fiery red ball with a flip of her palm. It contained a frightening power. This is the Fire Spirit Pearl, which contains the absolute power of a Saint King. With a single strike, even a level 9 lower heaven tier expert would be reduced to ashes. This was the only one Long Xiaoya had earned in exchange for capturing slayers for the Holy Region over the years. Moreover, senior brother Qiu Changjian, who besieged the Slayer King, said that in that battle, the Slayer King was seriously injured and his cultivation fell below the 9th heaven. He's only slightly stronger than me. If you guys join us, killing him will be a sure thing. Long Xiaoya smiled at Su Yu and Xia Jingyu. How about it? If you are willing, I can help you break through to level 7 upper tier now. Su Yu and Xia Jingyu were instantly tempted. Were they going to fight the Slayer King so soon? The two looked at each other and pondered for a long time. Su Yu slowly nodded. Yes, but we must first break through. 5 spirit elixirs will suffice. Yin Chu, give it to them. Long Xiaoya smiled and readily agreed. 5? Yin Chu was extremely pained, but most of the spirit elixirs he had were given by Long Xiaoya. The Saint Grade spirit elixirs had little effect on Long Xiaoya, so she had given all the elixirs she had killed along the way to Yin Chu. Yin Chu took out 5 elixirs from his robes, his heart filled with hatred. Why give him to Su Yu? If Long Xiaoya forcefully ordered him, would Su Yu dare to resist in the face of absolute power? As if sensing Yin Chu's unwillingness, Long Xiaoya lightly shook her head. You should be glad that you did not fight with Su Yu. Otherwise, you would be in deep trouble. Intentionally or unintentionally, Long Xiaoya glanced at the 3 puppets. In the Sanctuary Divine Pavilion, the existence of the 3 deity-level techniques was an open secret among the 10 great prospective holy disciples. However, even among the true holy disciples, only the strongest holy disciple, Zhao Guang, could comprehend it, much less the prospective holy disciples. Su Yu's method of controlling the puppets reminded Long Xiaoya of one of the 3 deity-level techniques, Infernal Demon Pupils. If Su Yu's method of controlling the puppets came from infernal demon pupils. Did it mean that he had also comprehended the other two deity-level techniques? If so, Su Yu's terrifying abilities could not be measured by cultivation level. Yin Chu misunderstood Long Xiaoye's gaze, thinking that Long Xiaoye was referring to the puppets being very strong. If Yin Chu had forcefully attacked, he would have been seriously injured by the puppets. His face turned green and red. Yin Chu unwillingly humphed. What's so great about relying on the puppets? With my personal abilities, I could crush him with just one finger. Long Xiao secretly shook her head, no longer explaining. Next, Su Yu and Xia Jingyu, who had unexpectedly obtained 5 Saint-grade spear elixirs, swallowed them under the protection of many and broke through on the spot. Half an hour later, buzz, 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 Su Yu and Xia Jingyu both broke through to level 7 upper tier. Yin Chu was secretly jealous. Back then, when they had broken through to level 7, how many years and twists and turns had they gone through? Su Yu and Xia Jingyu, on the other hand, had many fortuitous encounters in the evil forest. In just 10 days, they had broken through from level 5 upper tier to level 7 upper tier. Long Xiaoye's eyes were calm. She did not think that Su Yu and the others' breakthroughs were due to luck. The evil forest had long existed, but how many people with insufficient cultivation levels could break through consecutively in 10 days like Su Yu and Xia Jingyu? Throughout history, it was as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. The opportunities were equal. The evil forest was in front of them, but they did not dare to take the risk or were not strong enough. Like Yin Chu, before reaching level 7, he would not dare to take the risk to enter the evil forest, so his breakthrough was slow. Those who were jealous of Su Yu and Xia Jingyu's fortuitous encounters should reflect on why they could survive in the evil forest and gradually become stronger, but they did not even have the courage to enter. Feeling the abundant strength of level 7 upper tier, Su Yu and Xia Jingyu's faces were full of joy. If they encountered another level 8 lower tier, Su Yu and Xia Jingyu were confident they could easily kill them. A level 8 upper tier was invincible in a one-on-one fight, and with the two of them working together, it would not be difficult to kill them. Long Xiaoye chuckled. For the rest of the journey, snatching elixirs will depend on your own ability. I will not be biased. Let's go. A team of 8 people, each with strength comparable to a level 8 upper tier. Along the way, they were invincible, and all the villains they encountered were killed. In just 3 days, Su Yu and Xia Jingyu had seized 6 elixirs with their advantage in numbers. However, Su Yu gradually became puzzled. The core area was where the villains gathered, but in these 3 days, the closer they got to the core area, the fewer villains there were. Long Xiaoye also felt that something was wrong and secretly frowned. That ancient great hall is the resting place of the Slayer King. Suppressing the doubts in her heart, Long Xiao hid in the forest and quietly pointed to a great hall 2 miles away, hidden in the lush green forest. Su Yu used his pupils to look, his expression slightly cold. Near the great hall, there are 3 level 8 upper tiers guarding it. Long Xiaoye stared at Su Yu strangely. How do you know in such detail? Senior Qiu Changjian said that the Slayer King was once a prince of a country. He launched a failed coup and became a bandit, killing indiscriminately. There were 4 loyal guards around him who were captured and brought back to the evil forest. Among them, 1 was a level 8 peak, and the other 3 were level 8 upper tier. This information was not in the information, so how did Su Yu know? At the same time, Long Xiaoye was even more curious about Su Yu's strength. Along the way, he and Xia Jingyu had almost never made a move. They had all been commanding the 3 puppets to kill the enemy. Su Yu's pupils shrank. There was another level 8 peak. He fixed his gaze, but did not see where the level 8 peak slayer was. Yin Chu's nostrils flared, squinting. Playing tricks. Along the way, Su Yu had only relied on the puppets to kill the enemy, which made him jealous and angry. All right, get ready to attack. Long Xiaoye's eyes were sharp. 3 level 8 upper tier guards, we will take them down one by one, swarm them, and kill them in an instant. Then concentrate our strength and besiege the level 8 peak. I will deal with the level 9 Slayer King. Long Xiaoya formulated a reasonable plan. Everyone nodded and quietly crept forward. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 8 figures blotted out the sky and covered the earth like a flood and ferocious beast. Among them were level 8 peak and level 8 upper tier. With such a powerful combination, a level 8 upper tier Slayer could only die on the spot. After killing the Slayer, Suyu reacted quickly. With a roll of the entwined dragon silk, he snatched the elixir before Yin Shu and Qin Mingwei could. Yin Shu and Qin Mingwei had no time to complain and immediately surrounded the second Slayer. With 2 screams, the last 2 level 8 upper tier Slayers perished on the spot. Their dying counterattack caused Suyu to sacrifice one of his puppets. But the reward was that the elixirs of the 3 Slayers were all snatched by Suyu. As a result, he had gathered 9 Saint-grade spirit elixirs. If he could gather one more, he and Xia Jingyu would have a chance to break through to level 7 peak. However, of the remaining Slayers, one was a level 8 peak Slayer, and the other was the legendary Slayer King. After we break in, you guys will besiege the level 8 peak guards, and I will kill the Slayer King. Long Xiaoya's eyes flashed, a layer of sweat forming on her palms. The Slayer King, the level 9 peerless Slayer, had to be killed in one blow. Although he was seriously injured, if he did not die, he could still absolutely crush all of them. Suyu and Xia Jingyu were on guard. Swish, the group moved. Boom! Under the combined efforts of the 8, the doors of the Great Hall burst open. However, what greeted everyone's eyes was an empty Great Hall. At the highest point, there was an ancient and decaying throne. On that throne, a majestic figure was faintly discernible. It was like an ancient king. A tyrannical aura, like a wild beast, rushed toward them. Suyu's breathing stagnated, and he exclaimed in a low voice, "The Slayer King." Chapter 81. Long Xiaoya fixed her gaze on the Slayer King, her expression changing rapidly. According to the information, the Slayer King was clearly severely injured. How could he have recovered? A hoarse laugh pierced through the air. Interesting, this is the first time a sanctuary disciple has dared to attack me. Swish, the Slayer King slowly stood up. His terrifying level 9 aura was like a great river flowing from the east, shaking everyone's heart. It was confirmed that he had really recovered. The Slayer King, who was severely injured, and a fully recovered Slayer King were worlds apart in terms of strength. The situation was unexpected. Long Xiaoya's breathing quickened, her palms covered in sweat. The Slayer King slowly walked down from the throne, revealing his figure from the shadows. He was a middle-aged man with a pale face and cold eyes. Even though he was standing still, he emitted a frightening power. He coldly swept his gaze across the crowd, his gaze landing on the 3 Slayer guards outside the palace. The Slayer King's eyes were filled with hostility, his killing intent soaring. "I shall grant you death for killing my men." The Slayer King's figure was like lightning. His speed was so fast that even Su Yu's time manipulation could not compare. The crowd could only see a series of blurry shadows, unable to capture the Slayer King's presence. The threat of death loomed over everyone's hearts. Feeling the impending threat of death, Suyu growled, "Hold him back." Swoosh, swoosh. The 2 puppets were not afraid of death. Their figures swayed as they attacked the Slayer King. Soul control technique. "I'll kill you first." The 2 puppets only caused the Slayer King to pause for a moment. A pair of fists emerged from the blurry shadows and landed on the puppets. Boom! As strong as level 8 lower-tier martial artists, they were simultaneously shattered into countless pieces of flesh. At the same time, a spine-chilling wave of vital energy surged toward Suyu. The speed and power were suffocating. "Be careful," Long Xiaoya shouted, charging forward like lightning to block the attack for Suyu. With a blood-curdling scream, Long Xiaoya's arms were fractured. She screamed as she flew backward, blood flowing from her mouth. A mere wave of vital energy had seriously injured Long Xiaoya. Level 9 was so terrifying. The Slayer King coldly looked at her. You overestimate yourself. Whoosh. However, when Long Xiao spat out a mouthful of blood, a red round object came out of her mouth. The color was the same as fresh blood, and it shot towards the Slayer King. The Slayer King only thought that his internal organs had been shattered. With a sneer on his face, he tilted his head slightly and dodged the attack without moving his feet. You can't even withstand a single blow. However, when the organs reached the side of his head, a wisp of holy power that made his pupils shrink suddenly came from his internal organs. Explode. Without giving him any time to react, Long Xiaoya bellowed. Rumble. The deafening roar seemed like it was going to destroy the entire hall. Boundless saint energy erupted with absolute destructive power. Layers upon layers of air billowed, as if they could topple mountains and overturn the seas. Xia Jingyu let out a soft groan as she was sent flying by the shockwave. Su Yu's expression changed abruptly, and he was also sent flying by the earth-shattering energy wave. In the nick of time, he used the floating light shadow technique and held on to Xia Jingyu's slender waist. At the same time, the entwined dragon silk shot out and wrapped around the stone pillars in the hall. Only then did it not get blown away. The shockwave dissipated and dust filled the air. Su Yu activated his pupils and was pleasantly surprised to find that within the dust, the Slayer King had died on the spot. His head had been blasted into a bloody mess, and he could not have been more dead. Whoosh! Su Yu turned into a purple shadow and flew over. At that moment, Long Xiaoya also flew over. The two of them landed beside the Slayer King's corpse to snatch the elixir. Slap! Su Yu kicked over the Slayer King's corpse, revealing his back, and reached for the jade bottle on his back. However, Su Yu's hand stopped in midair, and he did not reach for it. His eyes flashed violently, and his face turned pale. Whoosh! Without hesitation, Su Yu flew to Xia Jingyu's side, grabbed her, and frantically ran out of the hall. Long Xiaoya hesitated for a moment and fixed her gaze on the jade bottle. Her expression changed and was immediately filled with a thick sense of horror. Swoosh! Long Xiaoya's heart thumped wildly. She followed closely behind Su Yu, frantically running out of the hall. Qin Mingwei, Yin Shu, run quickly. Because of her nervousness, Long Xiaoya's voice had lost all confidence and calmness, only deep fear. The two of them turned back to look at the Slayer King. His head had exploded, and within the jade bottle on his back, a fiery red elixir sat quietly. He was clearly dead, so why were they fleeing in fear? Xia Jingyu's heart trembled, and she exclaimed in Su Yu's arms, "Brother Yu, what happened? Is the Slayer King in danger?" Su Yu's expression was extremely ugly, and his heart was thumping wildly. It's not that the Slayer King is in danger, it's that was not the Slayer King. The real Slayer King is not dead. Xia Jingyu's delicate body trembled, and her pretty face turned pale. The spiritual fire pearl had already been used. If the real Slayer King appeared and chased after them, wouldn't they? Yin Shu and Qin Mingwei heard this, and their expressions turned grave. Senior Long, is he really not the Slayer King? Yin Shu and Qin Mingwei's lips trembled, and their hearts were filled with horror. Long Xiaoya's jade-like face was filled with horror. Indeed not. Behind the Slayer King's back were two divine grade spirit elixirs. This level 9 Slayer only had one, and it was an ordinary Saint grade spirit elixir. If I'm not wrong, he should be that level 8 peak guard. But we don't know when he broke through to level 9. We mistook him for the Slayer King. As for how he broke through, everyone had a sudden idea. When they entered the core area, they discovered that the number of Slayers had decreased sharply. Where did they go? Before this, everyone had their doubts. Now, the answer was obvious. They had all been killed by the Slayer King and the 4 guards, and their elixirs had been stolen. With the help of the elixir, the leader of the 4 guards, who was level 8 peak, had successfully broken through to level 9. From the beginning to the end, what they faced was not the Slayer King. The real Slayer King must still be nearby. Yin Shu and Qin Mingwei's faces turned pale. The real Slayer King was not dead. A shiver from the depths of their souls spread throughout their souls. Without anyone's urging, they unleashed their unprecedented potential and frantically fled. Swoosh, 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 streaks of light, like blurred shadows, floated in the dark forest. They escaped from the core area at a speed faster than when they came. This escape lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Other than when they were physically exhausted, they would take a short break. At other times, they did not stop for even a moment. 3 days that tested their spirit and willpower, allowed them to unleash their unprecedented potential. Except for Xia Jingyu, who was in Su Yu's arms, safe and sound. The rest of them were dressed in rags, like beggars. Even Long Xiaoya's tight-fitting leather clothes were damaged in many places, revealing a large patch of her dazzling snow-white skin. Fortunately, although it was tiring, the 3 days of escape had finally yielded some results. Phew. Yin Chu and Qin Mingyue stopped to catch their breath. Senior Long, we have already left the core area. We will return to the periphery immediately. The Slayer King should not be able to catch up to us. Long Xiaoya thought for a moment, lightly nodding her head. She looked towards Su Yu and Xia Jingyu. Let's rest here for a moment to adjust our condition. What do you two think? 3 days of escape was not a small burden for her. Su Yu slowly shook his head, not slowing down in the slightest. He said, "The day we let our guard down is often the most dangerous time. I will not stop until we have completely left the evil forest." Whoosh! Leaving behind a wispy voice, Su Yu disappeared from their sight. Long Xiaoya could not help but ponder. Su Yu's words were reasonable. They should not let their guard down until they had left the evil forest. Yin Chu coldly sneered, "Senior Long, why bother with people like him? To put it nicely, he is cautious. To put it bluntly, he is as timid as a mouse." Qin Mingyue also somewhat disliked Su Yu, only because he had stolen too many elixirs. She lightly nodded. "We are too far ahead of the Slayer King. With his level 9 lower tier strength, it would be difficult for him to catch up to us." If he could not calculate this clearly, it shows that Su Yu lacks the ability to judge the situation. Let him escape. We will rest on our own. Seeing the two calm and composed, determined to rest, Long Xiaoya was helpless. Although she understood that Su Yu was the wisest person, she could not abandon the two of them. She could only stop and rest. The three of them leaned against an ancient tree and quietly rested. Suddenly, Long Xiaoya saw the shadow of the tree on the ground move slightly. She subconsciously looked up. However, this glance scared her out of her wits. On the branch of the tree they were leaning against stood a middle-aged man. He was dressed in a gray robe. His facial features were regular, his eyes clear, and there was an aura of a king surrounding him. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his demeanor leisurely, like a cat hunting a mouse, calmly looking down at the three of them. Without a sound, it was as if he had become one with nature. If Long Xiaoya had not subconsciously glanced up, she would not have noticed the existence of a human above her. In an instant, Long Xiaoya's throat seemed to be blocked by something, and she struggled to spit out a few words. The Slayer King, level 9 upper tier. It was indeed impossible for a level 9 lower tier Slayer King to catch up to them. However, a level 9 upper tier Slayer King was more than enough to easily catch up to them. Yin Chu and Qin Mingyue heard this and looked up. They were instantly scared out of their wits. Not only had the Slayer King chased them, but he had also been standing on top of their heads. In other words, the Slayer King had actually caught up to them long ago. He just did not show himself. Yin Chu's body stiffened, and he lost the courage to even move. Whoosh! Qin Mingyue was scared out of his wits. He instinctively suppressed his fear and quickly fled. "No!" Long Xiaoya exclaimed. Unfortunately, it was too late to stop him. The Slayer King had a mocking smile on his face. Escaped mouse eliminated. Extending a finger, the Slayer King pointed into the distance. Hundreds of meters away, Qin Mingyue's body suddenly exploded into a rain of blood. Yin Chu's soul trembled, and he was filled with regret. If he had known this would happen, he would have escaped with Su Yu. That way, he might have had a chance of survival. Withdrawing his finger, the Slayer King looked down at the two of them with a mocking expression. Among the 5 of you, only the boy in purple who escaped is barely interesting. Follow me. Swoosh! The Slayer King flew toward Suyu. Long Xiao bit her lip, not daring to disobey, and followed the Slayer King. Chapter 82. Suyu hugged Xia Jingyu as he ran. From start to finish, he had not let down his guard, nor had he given up on observing the movements behind him. Suddenly, whoosh, Suyu took out 9 elixirs and stuffed 5 into Xia Jingyu's hands. What are you? Xia Jingyu did not understand. Suyu looked down at Xia Jingyu and whispered, Jingyu, if I do not leave the evil forest one day, please go to Fenghuang Valley on my behalf. Xia Jingyu had a bad feeling, but Suyu did not give her a chance to speak. If I die, the Holy King will not make things difficult for you. He will extract the holy energy from your body. Suyu is deeply apologetic. When the time comes, if you are strong enough, please go to Fenghuang Valley on my behalf and tell Xiener. I, Suyu, have never let her down. Suyu was disappointed. Xia Jingyu's heart ached. Once upon a time, Xiener was her best friend. She did not know when, but what she feared the most was hearing the word Xiener from Suyu's mouth. It was as if Xiener would snatch away the source of her peace of mind. Just like that day in the Duke's palace, under the moonlight, Xiener had snatched Suyu's embrace. All right. Xia Jingyu's hands clutched her clothes tightly. Although she felt bitter, she nodded in agreement. Suyu belonged to Xiener. Xia Jingyu sighed in her heart. Suyu smiled gratefully. If that is the case, let's part ways. Jingyu, live on. Without waiting for Xia Jingyu to react, Suyu's eyes suddenly shot out a jet black light. Demonic eyes could cause a person to faint if used at will. Xia Jingyu struggled for a while, then closed her eyes unwillingly. As she struggled, her eyes were filled with confusion. The last thing reflected in her beautiful eyes was Suyu's apologetic smile, as well as a wisp of farewell. Whoosh! As Suyu flew down, he hid Xia Jingyu in a hidden tree hole. Then he flew in a certain direction, frantically escaping. A moment later, Suyu arrived in a valley. Looking back, he laughed bitterly to himself. Swoosh! A middle-aged man in gray had a mocking smile on his face as he leisurely walked over. Long Xiaoye and Yin Chu followed behind him with ugly expressions. The Slayer King scanned the area, but did not see Xia Jingyu. His smile deepened, and he looked at Suyu with interest. You're very smart. Out of everyone here, you were the first to discover my existence. You knew that it would be difficult to escape my pursuit, so you hid that female companion in advance. The Slayer King said with admiration. But this is a cat, appreciating a cunning mouse. After appreciating it, it was time to enjoy the delicacies. Suyu's eyes were sharp, and he secretly took a deep breath to calm his trembling heart. The Slayer King, level 9 upper tier, was only a few steps away from becoming a legend of martial arts. However, Suyu had his own confidence. It was still unknown who would have a last laugh. Narrowing his eyes, Suyu carefully observed the Slayer King's movements. The Slayer King came to the entrance of the valley, but he did not proceed any further. Instead, he stopped and looked around with a mocking smile. Let me guess. The valley is obviously a place of despair, but you still chose to enter it. I'm guessing that there must be some kind of trap or mechanism inside, right? For example, under my feet. The Slayer King sneered as he looked down at his feet. 3 centimeters in front of his toes, there was a transparent silk thread that was difficult to see with the naked eye. The silk thread was entwined on both sides of the stone wall. If one were to rush over at high speed, their feet could be cut off. Whoosh! The Slayer King laughed lightly. With a tap of his toes, the entwined dragon silk snapped. The trap was destroyed, and the Slayer King took a step forward. Suyu's pupils constricted. However, the Slayer King's foot slowly retracted in midair. He did not take another step forward. A hint of surprise appeared in his eyes, accompanied by a strong sense of mockery. Interesting, a series of traps. I was almost fooled by you. Boom! The Slayer King gathered vital energy between his fingers and bombarded the area below the entwined dragon silk. Boom! A trap pit that had been dug long ago, with dozens of sharp thorns, suddenly appeared. This was a series of traps. If the entwined dragon silk was discovered in advance, the enemy would lower their guard and fall into the second trap, because they had already broken the first trap. It could be said that every step was filled with danger, a meticulous plan. Su Yu's expression suddenly darkened. What a cunning Slayer King. He actually managed to break through all the traps. Long Xiaoya thought it was a pity. With a cold smile, the Slayer King crossed the pit trap, calm and unruffled. How do the three of you think I should deal with you? He asked playfully. Long Xiaoya and Yin Chu flew to Su Yu's side, their faces filled with despair. Perhaps this small valley would be their burial ground. However, what surprised them was that the Slayer King did not make a move. Or rather, a hunting cat was not satisfied. I'll give you a way out. Kill one of us, and you can leave alive. The Slayer King stood with his hands behind his back, his eyes filled with playfulness. Whoosh! Almost instantly, Su Yu and the other two separated, each on guard against the other. Su Yu and Yin Chu were most wary of Long Xiaoya. A level 8 peak was enough to kill both of them at once. However, Long Xiaoya did not make a move. Instead, she said seriously, "Don't worry, I won't make a move. If you die, he will lose interest and I will be killed immediately." Hearing this, although Su Yu did not completely let down his guard, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Long Xiaoya's words carried enormous weight. She did not like tricks, and at the same time, her words were very reasonable. Once the Slayer King was satisfied, Long Xiaoya would die. Believing the Slayer King's words was akin to a moth flying into a flame, seeking death. However, in times of crisis, people would see any illusory hope as the light to survive. Such as, Yin Chu. Boom! Yin Chu clenched his teeth, his gaze changing drastically. He suddenly charged towards Su Yu. A wisp of vital energy attacked Su Yu's heart. Whoosh! Su Yu was prepared and dodged in time, glaring angrily. Do you really believe that if you kill me, he will let you go? His eyes filled with deep fear. Yin Chu had already lost his ability to think calmly. He growled, "Whether I believe it or not, this is my only choice. What if the Slayer King kept his promise?" Among the three of them, Yin Chu was no match for Long Xiaoya, but he thought he could crush Su Yu. Failing in his first attack, Yin Chu growled and attacked again. Great Cloud Hand of the Western Sky. Vital energy gathered in Yin Chu's palm, as if a boundless giant hand was coming towards Su Yu. Boom, boom, boom. Vital energy flew wildly, filling the air with murderous intent. Su Yu, accept your fate. You are no match for me. In order to avoid suffering, I can grant you a quick death. Yin Chu's eyes were filled with deep pity as he said this. Su Yu laughed angrily, pretending to be compassionate. Yin Chu wanted to kill him, but at the same time sympathized with him. Do you really think you can defeat me? Su Yu's eyes gradually turned cold. Long Xiaoya had stopped him in time during his previous battle with Yin Chu. He did not expect this battle to be unavoidable. Yin Chu's giant palm was already approaching. His expression was indifferent, filled with confidence and a hidden sense of contempt. Lightly shaking his head, Yin Chu stared at Su Yu and sighed. You still do not repent even at death's door. It seems that after experiencing so much, you are still immersed in the dream of being the heavens ruler of the empire. Now, without the puppet to rely on, you are vulnerable. Seeing your brother's greatest regret is that during the battle a few days ago, I did not make you realize the cruel reality in time. Now, you no longer have the chance. This is my fault. Sigh. Yin Chu sighed with pity, sneering in his heart. Rumble. Su Yu retaliated with an ordinary palm strike. The two palms collided silently. Yin Chu's face of fake pity first stiffened, then turned serious, then painful, followed by panic, fear, and finally a shrill scream. Crack, with the sound of ice freezing, the screaming figure in his life was completely frozen into an ice sculpture. Within the ice sculpture, there was no sign of life, only a cold corpse. Su Yu stood in place, slowly retracting his fist that was surrounded by cold energy. He shook his head indifferently, The one who is truly vulnerable is you, senior brother. This is the cruel reality. Long Xiaoya's pupils shrank. He had killed Yin Shu with one move. She had doubted Su Yu's abilities many times, but she had never thought that he could kill Su Yu with one move. To Yin Shu, this was indeed the cruel reality. The Slayer King's mocking smile slightly stiffened as he took a light breath. Deity-level cultivation technique. Immediately, his mocking smile deepened. Interesting. You are a genius who has comprehended a deity-level cultivation technique, and it looks like you have mastered it. Interesting. Then, the two of you can begin a battle. Whoever wins will live. The Slayer King looked like he was eager to watch a good show. Su Yu and Long Xiaoya did not make a move. According to the Slayer King, killing one person would save one's life. Su Yu was forced to kill Yin Shu, but he did not get a chance to live. Without a doubt, the Slayer King did not keep his word. Even if Su Yu and Long Xiaoya fought to the death, he would not let anyone leave. Therefore, Su Yu and Long Xiaoya did not make a move. It was better to die a martyr's death than to be toyed with by the Slayer King. Seeing that the two of them did not make a move, the Slayer King's mocking smile gradually disappeared. His smiling eyes were filled with a cold, killing intent. Boring rats die. Boom! The cold, killing intent soared into the sky. All living creatures fled in fear. Taking a step forward, the Slayer King, who had lost his patience, finally decided to execute them. However, Su Yu's expression remained the same. His lips curled into a mocking smile. Do you really think you are a cat playing with rats? Su Yu sneered as he lightly stepped on the ground. If one looked closely, they would realize that Su Yu had not moved a single step since his battle with Yin Shu. Beneath his feet was a transparent silk thread that could not be easily moved. At that moment, as the Slayer King took a step forward, Su Yu stepped on the entwined dragon silk. Boom! A muffled explosion sounded, as if a water bag or something similar had shattered. Black liquid, with a foul stench, exploded beneath the Slayer King's feet. The sky was filled with black rain, drenching the Slayer King from head to toe. Ah! A blood-curdling scream came from the Slayer King's mouth. It was as if he was suffering from an immense pain. The black rain on the Slayer King's body contained an extremely potent poison. The Slayer King's entire body was festering from the poison. His handsome face was a mess of flesh and blood. Parts of his body festered so badly that even his bones could be seen. His legs were at the source of the poisonous rain. In an instant, only his pitch-black bones were left, his flesh and blood rotting into liquid. The gray robe on his torso instantly rotted, turning a large part of his body into a bloody mess. Long Xiaoya gasped. What kind of poison was this? How could it be so terrifying? Where did Su Yu set up so much poison? Chapter 83. Run! Su Yu reminded Long Xiaoya as he frantically fled to the bottom of the cliff. 2 ropes woven for vines were already prepared. Along the ropes, they could climb to the top of the valley and escape. One of the ropes was originally prepared for Xia Jingyu, but now it could save Long Xiaoya's life. Long Xiaoya was overjoyed. She grabbed a rope, activated her light body cultivation technique, and quickly climbed the cliff. The joy in her heart was indescribable. Not only had he set up 3 consecutive traps, but he had also prepared an escape route. Su Yu's meticulousness and calmness were beyond the reach of ordinary people. Su Yu quickly climbed up the cliff along the vines, his heart not completely relaxed. The poisonous rain was the blood of the 9 deadly poison devil. Su Yu buried the corpse underground and wrapped it tightly with the entwined dragon silk. Once the trap was triggered, the entwined dragon silk would suddenly tighten. The 9 deadly poison devil's corpse could not withstand the pressure and would explode, bursting out the poisonous blood. At the same time, it was winter. The corpse would not rot within 10 days, so there was no need to worry about the traps failing. However, Su Yu was not sure if he could kill the level 9 upper-tier Slayer King with just the blood of the 9 deadly poison devil. After all, these 3 traps were originally designed for level 8 upper tier or peak tier. Level 9 was not within the scope of consideration. Su Yu, I'll kill you. The Slayer King's earth-shattering roar came from within the valley. He really did not die. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A badly mangled figure, hard to see with the naked eye, climbed the cliff towards Su Yu with a strong stench of blood. At a glance, the flesh on his hands had rotted, leaving only bloody bone fingers. The bone fingers were like steel, cutting stone like mud. They pierced into the cliff as if walking on flat ground, climbing at an uncanny speed. His pair of decaying eyes stared at Su Yu, filled with boundless hatred. Su Yu's scalp was numb. He activated floating light shadow to the extreme. However, although the Slayer King was about to die from the poison, his strength was still there. His speed was far beyond Su Yu's. Crack! Boom! The Slayer King caught up with Su Yu. His poisonous bone claws grabbed at Su Yu's ankles, blood spurting from his mouth. I'll die, but you won't get away. And that female companion of yours, I want to find her and tear her apart. How could Su Yu avoid the claw of a level 9 upper tier? When the poisonous blood came into contact with Su Yu's ankle, it immediately caused his skin to rot to the point where white smoke rose from his nose. Then, with a pull of the bone claw, a boundless force came. The vine in Su Yu's hands broke with a sound. On the 100-meter cliff, Su Yu was like a giant rock, falling with a loud rumble. He looked up at the sky that was getting further and further away. The blue sky was distant, and the white clouds were tranquil. Even time and space had stopped at this moment. Su Yu's heart was filled with bitterness. Was he finally unable to escape death? Thinking back to this life, he had risen from the lowly silver sun to the peak of the heavenly sanctuary disciple. In just a few short months, he had achieved such a spectacular feat in his life. He had his father-in-law, the Duke of Xianyu, whom he was indebted to, and the third prince, who was extremely loyal. There were even 2 women whom he could never forget in his life. One was his fiancée, Qin Xianer. One was his confidant, Xia Jingyu. He had lived a wonderful life, but he had many regrets. He could not see Xianer with his own eyes, so he could only entrust Jingyu to meet her on his behalf. As he flew backward, Long Xiaoya's gasps could be heard, as well as the Slayer King's sinister smile. Your female companion. I will find her and tear her apart to accompany you. Jingyu. If the Slayer King followed the path he had come from, he could easily find the unconscious Xia Jingyu. Don't even think about it. Su Yu's eyes were fierce. Creak. A crazed desire to perish together with the Slayer King filled his eyes. Gathering vital energy in his hands, Su Yu shot toward the peak of the valley. At the peak of the valley, there were 10 huge rocks tottering on the verge of collapse. They were close to the edge of the cliff, ready to fall at any moment. But they were all blocked by a transparent, entwined dragon silk. Once the entwined dragon silk broke, the entire valley would be destroyed. Each rock had a diameter of 10 feet. Once they fell, the mountains would collapse and the earth would crack. Su Yu had spent 2 days and 2 nights painstakingly setting up these giant rocks. In order to prevent encountering an unfathomably strong enemy, he wanted to destroy the valley along with the enemy. Now, this was the only way for Su Yu to perish together with the Slayer King. His vital energy surged, bouncing onto the entwined dragon silk. Creak! The entwined dragon silk loosened, and the 10 meteorite-like giant rocks finally fell. Long Xiaoya gasped. Luckily, she had already reached the edge of the cliff, narrowly avoiding the giant rocks and climbing to the peak. The Slayer King, on the other hand, was unable to climb up in time to deal with Su Yu. Faced with the falling giant rocks, he let out a shrill cry. I will not let you off even as a ghost. Even though he was the Slayer King, he could not withstand the power of a landslide. In an instant, he was crushed by a giant rock and rolled down the cliff. Rumble! The 10 giant rocks crashed down with a thunderous roar. The entire valley shook, and the 100-meter mountain peak crumbled with a rumble. Countless gravel rolled down. As far as the eye could see, the surrounding mountain peaks were all destroyed, and the valley was filled with gravel. Long Xiaoya took a long time to open her eyes from the dust cloud. Long Xiaoya sucked in a breath of cold air as she stared intently at the scene before her. It was as if a disaster had struck her heart. Within the valley, the chances of survival were close to zero due to the 30-meter deep rubble. Her knees weakened, and she knelt in the valley, muttering, "Suyu, long, xiao out." Her chest seemed to be blocked by something. She felt apologetic, grateful, and admiring. Suddenly, Long Xiaya looked up and saw a beautiful figure stumbling toward the entrance of the valley. Looking up at the 30-meter deep pit of gravel, her beautiful eyes nervously scanned the surroundings, as if searching for a certain figure. Swoosh! Long Xiaoya's face was full of guilt as she rushed to the side of the beautiful figure. "He is already dead. In order to prevent the Slayer King from finding you, he perished together with the Slayer King and was buried in the landslide." Long Xiaoya's voice was low, desolate, and lonely. She did not feel the slightest bit of joy from surviving. Suyu's death made her feel apologetic that she could not repay. Boom! The beautiful figure's vision darkened, and her delicate body went limp. She knelt on the ground, her eyes lost. She was Xia Jingyu, who had just woken up. As intelligent as she was, she had rushed to the valley immediately. But what she saw was the aftermath of the disaster, as well as a piece of news that tore at her soul. Suyu was buried in the landslide. Staring at the deep pit of gravel, Xia Jingyu's mind lost all ability to think. There were only countless memories, like the tides of the night, continuously surging. The martial arts training institute, the inexperienced youth with outstanding archery skills, the mysterious figure in the underground ruins of the Twilight Mountains, the warm embrace of the pear blossoms under the moonlight in the Imperial Palace, the shy and unforgettable naked face-to-face in the outskirts of the Imperial capital. In the sanctuary, the hardships of life and death coexisted. Scene by scene, piece by piece, bit by bit, appeared in her mind, tearing her soul apart. The heart-wrenching pain reverberated in her heart. It was as if she had lost the most precious thing in her life. That was the light in her life that she dared not forget, nor did she dare hope for. No. Finally, Xia Jingyu's eyes gradually came back to her senses. Her clear eyes were filled with tears. "Brother, you will not die. You will not die." Xia Jingyu crawled up, pouncing into the valley. Using her slender hands, she lifted the rocks one by one. The rough and sharp rocks tore through her skin, cut her fingers, and tore her clothes. But in her eyes, there was only Suyu, nothing else. Mechanically, again and again, piece by piece, she moved the gravel away. It was as if she was a puppet with a broken heart, burning her life to preserve the last ray of light in her life. Long Xiaya could not bear it, her heart aching. "Junior Xia, my condolences," she said softly. "She is not dead." Xia Jingyu suddenly turned around. Regardless of the time and place, be it the landslide or the crack of the earth, she, who had always been tranquil, seemed to have become a different person. Her eyes were fierce, her mouth letting out a shrill cry. Long Xiaya was stunned, silently watching Xia Jingyu move the rocks in vain. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a full 5 days had passed. Xia Jingyu was beyond recognition. Her once beautiful face was haggard, her eyes dry and dark red. Her jade-like hands had lost their former luster and were badly mangled. But what was truly beyond recognition was her broken heart. In the past 5 days, Xia Jingyu had not rested for a moment. She did not drink a drop of water or eat a single grain of rice. Perhaps, before Suyu's body was found, she had already collapsed beside the rocks. Finally, Xia Jingyu's strength was exhausted, and she fainted on the ground. But even in a coma, her hands, covered in scabs, clung to the rocks, refusing to let go. Long Xiaoya sighed, her heart filled with pity. She kowtowed to Suyu's corpse in the valley, picked up the unconscious Xia Jingyu, and left the valley, leaving the evil forest. In a mysterious valley in the vast Feng Wang Empire, fairy clouds lingered, the mist was hazy, and pavilions were faintly discernible. It was like a paradise on earth. This was the forbidden land of the Feng Wang Empire, Feng Wang Valley. In terms of status, it was the sanctuary of the alliance of the 9 empires. At this moment, in a courtyard somewhere in Feng Wang Valley, Sienna was focused and serious, sweating profusely as she cultivated her cultivation technique. In the past, Sienna was capricious and playful, unruly and mischievous. Now, Sienna's delicate little face was filled with unyielding determination. Russell, 2 18-year-old girls passed by the courtyard and secretly glanced at each other, their eyes flashing with contempt and disgust. The bloodline of the 9 phoenixes is just SOSO. Is she really the granddaughter of the Valley Master? The difference in talent is incomprehensible. Indeed, it does not seem like the bloodline of the 9 phoenixes. Rumor has it that the bloodline of the 9 phoenixes has a strange cultivation speed. However, our Feng Wang Valley poured out all the Saint Grade Spirit elixirs we had accumulated and gave them to Qin Sienna, but it only allowed her to break through to level 3 upper tier. The difference in talent is unimaginable. As the granddaughter of the Valley Master of Feng Wang Valley, Sienna's bloodline was special and she was nurtured with everything. The Saint Grade Spirit elixirs that should have been distributed to the outstanding disciples were all given to Sienna alone. However, under the impact of so many Saint Grade Spirit elixirs, she only managed to break through from level 3 lower tier to upper tier. Within Feng Wang Valley, whether it was the outstanding disciples or the elders, they all complained. What a waste! If all those Saint Grade Spirit elixirs were given to me, I would have broken through to level 8 long ago. I really don't understand. Isn't it good for her to live in Fenglin Empire? She came to our Feng Wang Valley and wasted our extremely precious Saint Grade Spirit elixirs. This kind of person should just die. The voices of the two gradually faded away, but faintly drifted into Sienna's ears. Sienna stopped cultivating. Her head drooped slightly as she stood in front of the wooden pillar. She lightly bit her lips, and her frail shoulders gently trembled. Her pair of big eyes were filled with tears and were red and swollen. A deep sense of loneliness and hesitation wreaked havoc on her weak body and soul. Qin Sienna, follow me. The clan is holding a meeting and needs you to attend. An indifferent voice floated over. It was a dignified and beautiful woman. She looked at Qin Sienna with disgust. Chapter 84. Oh. Qin Sienna hurriedly wiped away her tears and lowered her head. She didn't say a word as she followed the dignified woman to the most dignified meeting room in the Phoenix Pavilion. At this time, many outstanding disciples and powerful elders were all standing in the meeting hall. As far as the eye could see, it was all level 8 and level 9 heavens. The experts were as numerous as the clouds, and the atmosphere was imposing. Apart from that, there was also an old woman who sat calmly on the main seat in the hall. At first glance, he looked like an ordinary old man, but her presence caused the gathered 8th and 9th heavens experts to keep quiet out of fear. She was the master of Feng Wang Valley, Qin Sienna's grandmother. As Qin Sienna was brought over, the outstanding disciples and elders all looked over. On the surface, he was respectful, but in the depths of his eyes, there was jealousy, contempt, disappointment, and hatred. The master of Feng Wang Valley opened her eyes and stared at Qin Sienna. After assessing her cultivation level, she confirmed that she was still at level 3 upper tier. Her doting eyes rippled with a faint coldness. Sienna, do you remember the promise you made with Grandma? The master of Feng Wang Valley said indifferently. Her voice was faintly discernible and distant. It was clearly in front of him, but it was difficult to determine where the voice came from. Sienna's heart trembled. She bit her lips, and her eyes became misty. She nodded her head in front of everyone and said in a choked voice, "Remember, if you can't break through to level 5, then you will be expelled from Feng Wang Valley." The master of Feng Wang Valley muttered to herself for a while. Her old eyes were filled with love and reluctance, but they eventually turned cold. "Since you know, then leave Feng Wang Valley." Tears the size of beans rolled down Sienna's cheeks. She turned around, sobbing, and left the hall alone amidst everyone's mocking laughter. "Hold on. Feng Wang Valley, take off your clothes as well." The master of Feng Wang Valley replied indifferently, "This is the rule. Once you leave Feng Wang Valley, you're no longer a member of Feng Wang Valley." You're not allowed to bring anything from the valley with you. Sienna looked back at her grandmother from afar. There wasn't a trace of warmth in her heart. In her grandmother's heart, she was only a substitute for her mother. Now that she had no value, she cut off the last trace of kinship. A deep sense of loneliness came over him. His family had been destroyed, and he felt the coldness of human nature. When she thought of a purple-clothed figure, the loneliness in Sienna's heart eased slightly. Her small hands unbuttoned the jacket. Only this jacket belonged to Phong Wang Valley, so she did not care. However, when the jacket was unbuttoned, several fiery red objects fell out of carelessness. Pitter-patter, like an abacus rolling, fiery red round objects scattered all over the ground, rolling everywhere. Everyone was stunned. However, when they took a closer look, they were overwhelmed with shock and exclaimed in unison, "Saint Grade Spirit Elixir!" The things that were rolling on the ground were none other than precious Saint Grade Spirit Elixirs. There were a total of 13 of them. This was equivalent to 2 months' worth of elixirs for Phong Wang Valley. There was even a golden pill among them. Divine Grade Spirit Harmony Treasure Pill. The elders were still able to control themselves, but the juniors were overwhelmed by the terrifying amount of pills. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A group of young boys and girls even forgot that the master of Phong Wang Valley was present. They rushed forward and frantically snatched the elixirs on the floor. Sienna's little face was filled with panic. She pounced forward and pressed down on the golden pill. Her little hands frantically grabbed the nearby pills. But how could she fight against dozens of people? "Don't snatch it! Don't snatch it!" In the chaos, including the golden pill, they only managed to grab 2. The rest were all snatched away by the boys and girls. Her little hands were even red and swollen from being stepped on. Her skin was torn and seeped with fresh blood. Seeing that all the elixirs had been snatched away, Sienna's heart was filled with sorrow. She hugged the 2 remaining elixirs and sat on the floor, crying helplessly. Give me back all the elixirs. Those are for Brother Suyu. Don't snatch them." Desolate and sorrowful, it was heart-wrenching. In the silent meeting hall, only Sienna's lonely sobs remained. Looking at her trembling petite body, the youths could not bear it and awkwardly returned the elixirs to her. The rest of the youths also returned the elixirs sheepishly. Sienna's big eyes were filled with tears as she put the elixirs back one by one. Some of the elixirs were squashed and crushed during the snatching. Even a golden pill was squashed by herself. Sienna's heart ached. When all the elixirs were returned, Sienna's tears turned to laughter. She wiped her tears and choked with gratitude. "Thank you." The youths were ashamed. But the elders and the master of Phong Wang Valley realized something else. There were a total of 13 Saint Grade Spirit elixirs. Were these not the elixirs given to Sienna 2 months ago? There were 13 of them. Could it be that Sienna did not eat a single one? Sienna, the master of Phong Wang Valley's face trembled, her gaze sharp. What is going on? Why did you not eat a single one of the elixirs given to you? At this point, everyone finally understood why the legendary bloodline of the 9 phoenixes was so weak that it was even worse than a normal person. That was because Qin Sienna had not consumed a single one of the elixirs given to her. She had only relied on normal training to raise her cultivation level. That was why her progress was so slow. Qin Sienna did not dare to look at the master of Phong Wang Valley. She lowered her head and mumbled, "Grandma, I'm sorry. I wanted to leave the elixirs for Brother Suyu. He is in the mortal world and definitely does not have any elixirs to eat. I wanted to leave them all for him." Everyone looked at each other in shock. Only Phong Wang Valley and the sanctuary possessed Saint Grade Spirit elixirs. Their value was immeasurable. Qin Sienna did not eat a single one, leaving them all for Brother Suyu. Who is Suyu? The master of Phong Wang Valley's gaze was sharp. Qin Sienna did not dare hide anything. Brother Suyu is Brother Suyu. Oh, he is my fiancé, the only family I have left. Of course, Grandma is also my family. Fiancé. Qin Sienna had a fiancé in the mortal world? She would rather bear the name of trash, bear endless criticism, and be expelled from Fenghuang Valley, all to leave the elixirs for Suyu? In that instant, everyone was speechless. It was as if something had blocked their hearts. Those who were once envious, and angry could not suppress the emotions in their hearts at this moment. The master of Fenghuang Valley's expression changed drastically. She had withstood the pressure from Fenghuang Valley and spent months of elixirs to nurture her granddaughter. When she saw that Xian had not improved, she had secretly given her a one-of-a-kind divine grade spirit elixir. But Xian had not consumed a single one. She had given them all to an unknown kid. At this moment, she secretly blamed herself for wrongly blaming Xian, but she was also filled with murderous intent towards Suyu. However, she did not let her emotions show on her face. Gradually, she calmed down and took out a Saint-grade spirit elixir from her sleeve. Her tone was gentle and sincere as she said, "Take this one. I'll prepare another one for Suyu." Hearing this, Xian hesitated for a moment before reluctantly swallowing a Saint-grade spirit elixir. Whoosh, whoosh, a shocking scene appeared. The powerful elixir caused a faint fiery red color to emerge around Xian body. From afar, Xian looked like a phoenix. At the same time, his cultivation base was soaring at an astonishing speed. In a short moment, it had soared to level 5 upper tier. It is indeed the bloodline of the 9 phoenixes. A normal person would break through from level 3 upper tier to level 4 upper tier with a Saint-grade spirit elixir, but Xian. In the meeting hall, gasps could be heard everywhere. Their eyes were filled with shock and envy. This was the true bloodline of the 9 phoenixes. The master of Fenghuang Valley's eyes were filled with excitement and gratification. As expected, without a doubt, this scene would cause Fenghuang Valley to spare no effort in nurturing Xian. No one would dare to question her bloodline, and no one would dare to look down on or mock her. When the meeting ended, the crowd retreated with bewilderment. The master of Fenghuang Valley said indifferently, "Feiyun, make a trip to the Fenglin Empire and find Suyu." Swish! A 20-year-old youth emitting a terrifying aura flew in from outside the hall and knelt on the ground. "Yes, Holy King." Feiyun paused, hesitantly asking, "Find Suyu. Should I pass junior sister Xian's elixir to him?" After all, the master of Fenghuang Valley had promised Xian to prepare another elixir for Suyu. No! The calm master of Fenghuang Valley suddenly revealed her murderous intent. "Kill him." Feiyun was slightly shocked, his eyes turning cold. He was also indignant that a random kid of unknown origin could win Qin Xian's heart. She would rather stop her own cultivation to give the elixir to Suyu. Furthermore, he was Qin Xian's fiancé. Although Qin Xian's talent had been misunderstood as trash, her petite beauty, which was like that of a wild mountain spirit, had won the love of many people. She had many admirers. Feiyun was one of them. Hearing that Qin Xian had a fiancé, his heart was filled with sadness. But now a tinge of jealousy and murderous intent fused coldly. At the same time, make a trip to the sanctuary of the Alliance of the 9 Empires and tell Li Guang that he will not wait. The master of Fenghuang Valley said indifferently. "Yes." Swish! Feiyun retreated like a ghost. Sanctuary, Evil Forest, Valley Rubble Pit. Half a month ago, there was a catastrophe that destroyed the valley. A purple-robed youth had been buried in the rubble. It was as if even the heavens were grieving for him. The sanctuary, which had always been cloudless, was now covered in snowflakes. It had not stopped for 10 whole days. The world's purest whiteness could not conceal the coldest scenery in the valley. A thick layer of snow covered the valley. Thump, thump! Suddenly, under the pure white snow, the boulder loosened. A hand stretched out from the boulder. Xian. A desolate sigh pierced through the boulder and reached the clouds. Inside the sanctuary, when Xia Jingyu woke up, it had been 10 whole days. She was overworked and almost died. She had been unconscious for 10 whole days. The moment she opened her eyes, Xia Jingyu cried out, "Brother Yu!" Long Xiaoye, who was waiting by the side, sighed and said in a low voice, Jingyu, don't be like this. It has already been 15 days. 15 days, Xia Jingyu murmured. Her eyes were blank as she stared blankly at the pavilion. 15 days. Even if she was not crushed to death, she would have died of hunger or thirst. Xia Jingyu's strong heart had completely collapsed at this moment. Brother Yu. Tears rolled down from her eyes that had never cried. Her mournful voice carried with it a heart-wrenching pain that shook the heavens and spread into the desolate distance. Dong! The sound of a bell rang out from the Sage King Hall. Swish! A person entered the house. He was dressed in pure white, his eyebrows striking. At this moment, his eyes were filled with a deep sense of loss and shame. I should not have brought Su Yu to the sanctuary. If not for that, Su Yu would not have perished. Qiu Changjian felt a sense of loss for someone as loyal as him to perish just like that. He thought back to the holy meat. In order to save the Duke, he had traveled thousands of miles to the imperial capital to fight to the death. Such a peerless talent had perished in the evil forest. Qiu Changjian looked at Long Xiaoye, then at Xia Jingyu. He sighed. The Holy King's bell has rung. The storm competition has begun. I have heard from my seniors that after this competition, the sanctuary will be disbanded. Furthermore, the Holy King will bring the 10 of us holy disciples away from the sanctuary to Fengwang Valley. Qiu Changjian's tone was bleak. The disbanding of the sanctuary was an unbearable change for them. Swish! However, Qiu Changjian and Long Xiaoye's expressions changed. Chapter 85. Qiu Changjian was frightened by the look in his eyes. He nodded subconsciously and said, Yes, I will only bring the 10 great holy disciples. Only the 10 holy disciples? Xia Jingyu was like a person with a hollow soul who once again grasped a strand of support in her heart. I will participate in the storm competition. Xia Jingyu's clear eyes were filled with unprecedented determination. Qiu Changjian's heart trembled. He seemed to feel a sudden awakening of an oppressive power. Jingyu, you've just recovered from your illness. It's not suitable for you to participate. Long Xiaoye couldn't bear it. Xia Jingyu stepped out of the house and looked up at the snowflakes that filled the sky. In the wind and snow, a pair of beautiful eyes were filled with tears. I must go. That was Su Yu's last wish. Go to Fengwang Valley and tell Sienna on behalf of Su Yu. I have not let you down. Looking at her lonely figure disappearing into the snow, Long Xiaoye felt a sense of loss. Xia Jingyu had lost her soul. The storm competition had finally arrived. The sanctuary was about to disband. This was the last storm competition. The storm competition was divided into 2 parts. The competition between prospective holy disciples, the ranking of holy disciples. The venue was in front of the Sage King Hall. Xia Jingyu stepped on the wind and snow as she arrived. Her eyes were filled with snowflakes. The snow-white beauty was peerlessly beautiful, but everyone felt like they were looking at an ice sculpture, and their hearts were frozen. The news about Su Yu spread among the prospective holy disciples. To be buried together with the Slayer King in the valley was admirable and lamentable. In the past, the 2 of them had disobeyed the Holy King together and shocked the entire sanctuary. Now, Xia Jingyu was the only one left. She was lonely and isolated from the world. Dong! The Holy King's bell rang again. The battle for the prospective holy disciples had finally begun. The doors of the Holy King Hall did not open, but no one doubted that the Holy King was watching everything. The prospective holy disciple competition would be held in a ring. The one who won all the consecutive challenges would become the king of prospective holy disciples. The host was Qiu Changjian. He casually grabbed a name list and said with a complicated expression, Xia Jingyu, get on the stage. Whoosh! The beautiful figure was like a shuttle as she flew across the arena. Under the contrast of the wind and snow, the peerless face of the fairy from the painting was cold and beautiful. Her pair of snow-white eyes were cold and otherworldly. Challenge them according to the previous rankings, from lowest to highest. After every victory, you can rest for an hour. Qiu Changjian announced the rules. The first battle. Student ranked 101st, peak of level 5. I admit defeat. Next battle. I admit defeat. Xia Jingyu's level 7 upper tier was absolutely crushing, causing those who were ranked lower to all give up. Only the top 10 would-be holy disciples could finally fight against Xia Jingyu. Junior sister Jingyu, I'm not a match for him. I give up. Senior sister Lu, who was ranked 10th, clasped her fists and retreated. Zhang Mingyi, ranked 9th, had fallen in the evil forest. Whoosh, ranked 8th, Lu Dong, level 7 lower tier. I'll fight you. Lu Dong licked his lips and stared at Xia Jingyu's beautiful figure. His eyes were burning with passion. Even if he was no match for her, it was not bad to spar with this peerless beauty. Xia Jingyu stood still on the stage and did not move an inch. Snow covered her fragrant shoulders and dyed her hair white. At this moment, she finally made her move. Her jade-like feet stood rooted to the ground, unmoving. With just a raise of her finger, a powerful surge of Jinqi burst forth. Ah! Lu Dong screamed miserably as he fell off the arena. He was defeated. Xia Jingyu's eyes were as calm as an ancient well. She slowly put down her finger. Whoosh! Zhang Xiaohua, ranked 7th, come up. Xia Jingyu raised her finger. Ah! Yang Ling, ranked 6th, come up. Xia Jingyu raised her finger. Ah! Du Lin, ranked 5th, had fallen in the evil forest. Zhang Qian, ranked 4th. Zhang Qian, level 7 peak, was only one step away from level 8. Leaping onto the arena, Zhang Qian stood with her hands behind her back. As a woman, she could not help but be jealous of Xia Jingyu's beauty. Junior sister Xia's abilities are not bad. I'll let you have 3 moves. Zhang Qian had a mocking smile on her face. With her abilities at level 7 peak, she could easily crush Xia Jingyu of level 7 upper tier. Xia Jingyu shook her head, her expression indifferent. No need, I'll defeat you with 1 move. Zhang Qian was humiliated instead of humiliating Xia Jingyu. Her lips curled into a mocking smile. You're not strong enough and only know how to seduce people with your looks. I heard that junior brother Su Yu was seduced by you and was willing to die for you. Xia Jingyu's body trembled. Her beautiful eyes, surrounded by ice and snow, glistened. She did not refute, explain, or defend herself. Su Yu had indeed died for her. This was a pain she would never forget. Zhang Qian was pleased with herself as she sneered. I think junior brother Su Yu is the same, being tricked by a woman to the point that he'd give up his life. To put it nicely, he's sentimental. To put it bluntly, he's just a simpleton. Qiu Changjian frowned, secretly dissatisfied. Zhang Qian had no shame in humiliating Su Yu like this. But this was an arena match, and he had no right to intervene. Even if he had the right, it was inconvenient. Zhang Qian was the woman of Lu Qing, ranked 8th. In the past, Zhang Qian had no one to rely on. Her talents were average, but she was beautiful. Coincidentally, Lu Qing was fond of women. In order to climb higher, Zhang Qian had degenerated into becoming Lu Qing's plaything. With Lu Qing as her backing, no prospective holy disciples dared to provoke her. Even Long Xiaoya had to give her some leeway. On the arena, Xia Jingyu's eyes flashed with a cold light. This was the first time she had spoken since entering the arena. Her voice was raspy and cold, filled with anger and murderous intent. Those who insult him die. Xia Jingyu was indifferent to insults. Insulting Su Yu was Xia Jingyu's reverse scale. Every dragon had a reverse scale. Anyone who touched it would be killed. Such murderous words actually came from Xia Jingyu, who was as tranquil as a celestial being in a painting. Qiu Changjian and Long Xiaoya were stunned. Xia Jingyu had really changed. Her cold and murderous aura was completely different from the calm and gentle Xia Jingyu of the past. Zhang Qian laughed coldly. So what if I insult you? Who do you think you are to kill me? Vixen. Whoosh. Let me see what else you have to be proud of other than your flirtatious nature. Seal of peaks and ridges. Zhang Qian's palms were like butterflies, dancing in the air. 2 illusions of beautiful peaks appeared. It was as if a mountain was pressing down on them, compelling them. Saint-level technique, stage 3. As expected of the terrifying 4th-ranked martial artist. Xia Jingyu's beautiful figure stood still, like an ice sculpture. Her eyes did not reflect such a terrifying attack. Her clear eyes were filled with murderous intent. Those who insult him die. Her raspy voice contained a cold intent, piercing through the heavens. Swoosh! Xia Jingyu's body transformed into a state of nature, enveloping the entire area. Saint Grade Holy Decree. Everyone below the stage was shocked. Xiao Changjian was horrified. Xia Jingyu's holy decree had actually reached the level of a holy disciple. Flower-picking finger. Xia Jingyu's clear eyes were cold as she raised her finger. Puff! Ah! Zhang Qian, who was laughing coldly, suddenly had a bloody hole in her chest. Blood spurted out from her body. I admit defeat. Zhang Qian's scalp went numb, and a chill ran down her spine. If that finger had gone any deeper, her heart would have been crushed. Whoosh! Zhang Qian quickly retreated, wanting to jump off the stage. However, to everyone's surprise, Lin Fan's eyes widened. In the arena where serious injury was prohibited, and Zhang Qian had already admitted defeat, Xia Jingyu would not let go. Die! 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 Xia Jingyu was no longer as gentle as before. At this moment, she was like a cold goddess, filled with murderous intent. Puff! 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 Zhang Qian's slender body was instantly pierced with dozens of bloody holes. 70% of her blood had been sucked out. Even if she did not die, Zhang Qian would lose the ability to fight. However, Xia Jingyu did not have the slightest intention of stopping. Instead, she was ruthless. Her murderous intent would not rest until she had achieved her goal. Flower-picking finger. A cold voice pierced through the sky. Even Xiao Changjian could not stop her in time. No one could stop Xia Jingyu, who was filled with murderous intent. Oomph! A cold grunt came from within the holy King Hall. Xia Jingyu grunted, blood seeping from the corner of her mouth. His Saint Grade holy decree dissipated just like that. Creak! The stone doors of the Holy King Hall slowly opened. An old man sat cross-legged, his gaze calm as he stared at Xia Jingyu. The Holy King had appeared. Xia Jingyu's eyes were like lightning, shooting out coldly. Even the holy disciples did not dare look directly at the Holy King, but Xia Jingyu was not afraid, coldly staring back at the Holy King. You hate me? The Holy King's old eyes could see through everything in the world. He saw hatred in Xia Jingyu's eyes. Yes, Xia Jingyu did not hide the hatred in her heart. Because I stopped you? The Holy King asked indifferently. No, Xia Jingyu shook her head, her cold eyes filled with hatred. You harmed Su Yu. If not for the Holy King's oppression, Su Yu would not have risked his life to enter the evil forest, and he would not have fallen. You want to kill me? The Holy King's old eyes were calm. Yes, Xia Jingyu's eyes were resolute and fierce. Even though she was a woman, she spoke with an indescribable spirit. If I do not die, one day, I will take your life. I will not hesitate to go to heaven or hell. There was an uproar in the arena, followed by a deathly silence. Throughout history, Xia Jingyu was the only one who dared to say she would kill the Holy King. I am responsible for his death. Unexpectedly, the Holy King was not angry. Instead, he glanced coldly at the number of prospective holy disciples, his eyes filled with deep regret. You hate me, kill me, do as you please. If one day you have the ability. The Holy King looked away, slowly closing his eyes, and said indifferently, let the competition continue. Everyone's heart trembled. Xia Jingyu had first violated the rules of the arena, then revealed her murderous intent. The Holy King had written it off. Countless people were shocked. They could feel that this was the Holy King's way of making amends to Xia Jingyu out of guilt. The Holy King was apologetic for Su Yu's death. Xia Jingyu retracted her gaze, her cold eyes looking up at the snowy sky. She said indifferently, next. Whoosh! A proud figure leaped onto the arena. It was Long Xiaoya. Xia Jingyu was no match for a level 8 peak. Jingyu, don't be like this. The dead cannot come back to life. You don't have to ruin yourself. Long Xiaoya could not bear it. Xia Jingyu looked at her, her gaze gentle, but her voice was still hoarse and cold. You don't understand. That was Su Yu's last wish before he died. To use her eyes to see Xiener, to use her heart to say, I have not let you down. Xia Jingyu was willing to use her life to defend his last wish. Then make your move. Long Xiaoya sympathized, but would not give up the right to challenge a holy disciple. Only the king of prospective holy disciples could challenge a real holy disciple. Last year, she had been defeated. This year was her last chance. With a flip of her palm, Xia Jingyu took out 5 elixirs. These were the elixirs Suyu had given her before he died. Xia Jingyu's cultivation base rose rapidly, preparing to break through on the spot. Long Xiaoya was slightly surprised. She nodded. I'll wait for you to complete your breakthrough. No need. Xia Jingyu shook her head. Long Xiaoya was helpless. Even if Xia Jingyu broke through to level 7 peak, she would still be no match for her. If that's the case, Junior Xia, be careful. Long Xiaoya sighed. Like a fish in water. Swoosh, Long Xiaoya's entire body blended into nature. From afar, it was as if she was nature itself. A saint-grade holy decree. Long Xiaoya has also comprehended a saint-grade holy decree. The crowd was shocked. Long Xiaoya had hidden her strength well. Chapter 86. Xia Jingyu's expression was indifferent as she displayed her saint-grade holy decree. Flower pinching finger. Her jade-like finger pointed forward, and all water and liquids obeyed her call. However, Long Xiaoya only grunted. Her blood did not spur out of her body. Both of them had saint-grade holy decrees, but Xia Jingyu could not do anything to Long Xiaoya. Long Xiaoya's absolute cultivation level suppressed Xia Jingyu, putting her in a dangerous situation. Rumble, bam, 2 slender figures appeared in the arena. One was absolutely beautiful, while the other was bursting with heroic bearing. They were like a dazzling scenery that caused one's heart to tremble. The battle lasted for 10 minutes. Xia Jingyu was at a slight disadvantage, but it was still a draw. Qiu Changjian said, in a duel, the winner will be decided within 100 moves. The one with the upper hand will be the winner. In fact, whether it was Qiu Changjian or the other disciples, they were all amazed. Xia Jingyu was only a rookie, but she was able to fight against Long Xiaoya, the king of prospective holy disciples, for so long. Her improvement shocked everyone. Hearing Qiu Changjian's announcement, Long Xiaoya's eyes turned cold. Sorry, Jingyu, I have to challenge a holy disciple. Previously, she could not bear to hurt Xia Jingyu, so she had only used 70% of her strength. Now, in order to win, she had to use all her strength. Xia Jingyu's eyes were cold as she took a few steps back and sighed. I have a reason to win. Senior Long, I'm sorry. Swoosh. At that moment, Xia Jingyu broke through to level 7 peak. Long Xiaoya felt a sudden pressure. She gritted her teeth and attacked with all her strength. 7-star steps. Clang. Long Xiaoya stepped out with her jade-like feet, and according to some kind of extremely rhythmic rhythm, she stepped forward. Every step corresponded to the Big Dipper in the sky. When she stepped down, a dazzling rhythmic sound was produced. This was a rare sound attack. Saint-grade technique complete. The audience exclaimed. Qiu Changjian exclaimed. Whether it was the holy decree or the technique, Long Xiaoya had reached the standard of a holy disciple. Only her cultivation level was slightly lacking. Long Xiaoya's strength skyrocketed. Xia Jingyu's eyes were calm as she stood still. Reverie of dewdrops. With a hoarse voice, Xia Jingyu raised her hand and gently grabbed at Long Xiaoya. Rumble. A strange scene appeared. Long Xiaoya's expression changed abruptly. She looked like she was in pain. Everyone looked over and found that the snowflakes and water vapor in the air around Long Xiaoya had all gathered around her, wrapping her within. A layer of ripples visible to the naked eye covered Long Xiaoya's entire body. In an instant, Long Xiaoya felt as if she had been pressed into water, unable to breathe. No matter how much Long Xiaoya channeled her true qi, she was unable to disperse the water ripples. As time passed, she felt more and more uncomfortable. Her face turned red, and she gradually lost the ability to resist. With a flick of Xia Jingyu's finger, the water vapor wrapped around Long Xiaoya and threw her out of the arena. The whole place was dead silent. Great mastery of a deity-level technique. A trembling voice echoed out from the crowd. Everyone looked at Xia Jingyu and felt their scalps go numb. Of the 3 deity tier cultivation techniques in the Sanctuary Divine Pavilion, the Reverie of Dewdrops was actually comprehended by Xia Jingyu to the large success stage. What kind of terrifying perception was this? In the eyes of the Holy King, there was a rare glimmer of light. Within the sanctuary, there was only one person who had comprehended a deity tier cultivation technique, and that was the eldest disciple, Zhao Guang. But Xia Jingyu had comprehended it as well. Long Xiaoya was shocked. In the evil forest, she had never seen Xia Jingyu make a move. She had always thought that Xia Jingyu was relying on Su Yu's puppet to take advantage of the situation. But in reality, Xia Jingyu's abilities were far above that of a level 8 lower-tier puppet. A breathtaking battle that shocked the audience. Xia Jingyu was the undisputed king of the prospective holy disciples. Next was the ranking of the holy disciples. In reality, this was the most important round for the Holy King. The ranking battle of the holy disciples was brilliant. Every holy disciple had at least a level 9 cultivation base. The dazzling battle was an eye-opener for the prospective holy disciples, and they were fascinated by it. Finally, the battle came to an end. Zhao Guang had won the honor of being the king of the holy disciples. No enemy could last more than 10 moves against him. Zhao Guang, who was defeated in 10 moves, was a genius who had shaken the entire sanctuary. His unparalleled talent made people look up to him. The rest of the rankings had slight changes, especially towards the back. Qiu Changjian had shocked the world with a single brilliant feat. He had risen from 10th place to 7th place. Lu Qing, who had been ranked 8th, had fallen to 10th place. The sanctuary was about to disband. In the past month, the holy disciples had been extremely nervous. Their abilities had increased to varying degrees. At this point, the storm competition had come to an end. There was only one competition left. The challenge competition. The king of the prospective holy disciples had a chance to become a holy disciple. According to the rules, whoever defeated the last holy disciple could take his place. Xia Jingyu had to defeat Lu Qing to become a holy disciple and follow the Holy King to Fengwang Valley. Qiu Changjian sighed. Xia Jingyu's cultivation base had been suppressed. There was not much hope. The challenge competition begins. Qiu Changjian said. Whoosh! Xia Jingyu leapt onto the arena and stood silently. Beside Lu Qing, the pale Zhang Qian stared at Xia Jingyu with hatred. Brother Qing, help me teach this coquettish fox a lesson. Lu Qing looked up. Her graceful figure stood amidst the snowflakes, like a fairy concubine. It was a fascinating sight. A burning sensation filled his heart. Slowly nodding, Lu Qing leapt onto the arena. With a smile, Lu Qing consoled. Junior Xia, the dead cannot come back to life. My condolences. Xia Jingyu's eyes were cold. She turned a deaf ear. Lu Qing continued. Senior brother knows that junior sister Xia and junior brother Su have a deep relationship, but I hope that junior sister Xia can be open-minded. If there's anything wrong in your heart, you can talk to senior brother. If junior brother Su can do it, senior brother can also do it. The crowd was in an uproar. Lu Qing was known as a playboy. No one would have thought that he would target Xia Jingyu. He had used her grief over losing Su Yu to enter her heart and soul. Zhang Qian's face was green, bitter. Xia Jingyu's expression was cold, her eyes filled with disgust. Don't compare yourself to Su Yu. You will only sully his name. Lu Qing thought of himself as handsome, tall, and powerful. He could easily deal with young girls. For a young girl like Xia Jingyu, who was in the prime of her youth and had lost her soul, she could handle him easily. Who would have thought that Xia Jingyu would humiliate him in public? Haha, I have spoken too much. I am sorry. Let's begin. Lu Qing's expression was apologetic, but his eyes were filled with coldness. Refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. He had originally wanted to spar with Xia Jingyu to improve their relationship. Who knew that Xia Jingyu would not know what was good for her? Since that was the case, she could not blame him for being ruthless. Great river flows east. Lu Qing attacked. It was a saint-level top-class technique. The force of his palm was like a rainbow, like a great river from beyond the heavens. Xia Jingyu's eyes turned serious. She knew that she was no match for him, but she still had an unyielding glow. Reverie of Dewdrop's seal. The thick water vapor made it difficult for Lu Qing to breathe. Lu Qing's face was red, revealing a pained expression, but he was still able to do it with ease. The great river comes from the east, carrying with it an endless momentum, forcefully broke through the water vapor. Hu! Xia Jingyu was forced back. Her internal organs were shaken, and blood flowed from her mouth. But Xia Jingyu did not retreat. Great river flows east. Reverie of Dewdrop's seal. Hu! The absolute suppression of their cultivation levels made it difficult for Xia Jingyu to defend herself. After 10 moves, Xia Jingyu's chest was a bright red. A sky full of snowflakes fell on her body, turning into water vapor and drenching her clothes. Her clothes were also drenched, the eye-piercing bright red. She was on the verge of sustaining serious injuries. Qiu Changjian could not bear to watch. Junior Xia, just admit defeat. You can't win. I can't lose. I can't lose. Xia Jingyu's beautiful eyes were filled with tears. That was Su Yu's last wish. It was the last wish that Su Yu would ever utter in her life. She had to fulfill it. She would die without regrets. The people below the stage were deeply moved. She knew that she was no match for Xia Jingyu. So why was she so stubborn? Lu Qing had already withdrawn his playfulness. He was shocked by Xia Jingyu's fearless stance. Seeing Xia Jingyu attack without fear of death, Lu Qing's eyes flashed. Great river flows east. Lu Qing attacked with all his might. Rumble, pooh! Xia Jingyu suffered an unprecedented injury. She was sent flying, spitting out blood as she fell off the stage. Below and below the arena, there was silence. In the end, she had still lost. Sighs could be heard all around. Xia Jingyu was sent flying, her eyes filled with tears. She could no longer hold them back, tears rolling down her cheeks. This defeat caused her heart to feel as if it was shattering. In the end, she had not fulfilled Su Yu's last wish. Xia Jingyu's teary eyes lost their last shred of light as she laughed mournfully. Qiu Changjian's heart was filled with sorrow. He wanted to help Xia Jingyu up. But at that moment, look! What's that in the sky? Someone cried out in alarm. The crowd looked over. They could only see a ball of purple flame dancing in the sky. But what made their pupils shrink was that in the blink of an eye, the purple flame had teleported a mile away. It was as if the ball of flame had teleported through space. In a breath's time, the crowd saw it clearly. It was not a flame, but a purple-robed figure. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back. It was as if he was standing in the same spot. His feet were still, not moving an inch. But every time he blinked, he would mysteriously teleport a distance away, leaving behind a series of blurry purple afterimages. Is that a person or a ghost? The crowd was shocked. Such an inhuman teleportation technique was beyond imagination. The Holy King looked up, his indifferent eyes filled with surprise. It's him. Not good. He's coming for us. The crowd was horrified, taking up defensive positions. Qiu Changjian led the way, blocking the front. A mile away, the purple figure was approaching in an inhuman manner. Stop! But just as Qiu Changjian was berating the crowd, they heard a desolate sigh behind them. Jingyu, Qiu Changjian's entire body trembled violently. Everyone was horrified. When they looked back, they were horrified to find that the figure had appeared behind them and had caught Xia Jingyu in his arms. And the purple-robed figure in front of them was just an afterimage. The real purple-robed figure had long since arrived behind them. What kind of divine being could have such an inhuman posture? The crowd looked over. It was a young man dressed in fluttering purple robes. His figure was thin, his features handsome, and his eyes were tightly shut. Su Yu, Qiu Changjian cried out involuntarily, unable to believe his eyes. The face was indeed Su Yu's, but the Su Yu in front of him, his once fluttering black hair, was now silvery white, hanging down to his waist. Soft and elegant, flying freely. Paired with his purple robes, He looked mysterious and noble. It was as if Su Yu had come from some celestial palace. Chapter 87. Xia Jingyu felt a familiar chest and heard a familiar sigh. Her body trembled as she opened her eyes. What she saw was a face that she could not be more familiar with. Su Yu. Xia Jingyu could not believe what she was seeing as she muttered. She even wondered if she was hallucinating due to her injuries. Su Yu was alive. Jingyu, I'm sorry I'm late. A bleak sigh pulled Xia Jingyu back from the surreal reality. Su Yu. A sorrowful cry pierced through the heavens and resounded throughout the sanctuary. Xia Jingyu held back her tears of laughter as she stretched out her arms to hug the silver-haired, purple-robed man tightly. Because she was hugging him so tightly, she could not even breathe properly. But she did not let go. Instead, she hugged him even tighter, as if she was afraid that this was a dream that was too real. At this moment, Xia Jingyu had forgotten about heaven and earth, forgotten about time and space, forgotten about the arena, and forgotten about herself. In her heart, there was only Su Yu, the Su Yu that she had lost and regained. Xia Jingyu raised her face and stared at Su Yu. She was so happy that she could not speak. She could not use words to express the joy in her heart. All words paled in comparison to words. The crowd finally regained their senses after a long while. The silver-haired, purple-robed man was Su Yu, who had been buried in the landslide. Had he escaped death, or had he come back to life? It was no wonder that the crowd had such absurd thoughts. Su Yu was like a completely different person now. Xia Jingyu's shoulders trembled as she smiled with tears in her eyes. Her soulless eyes were once again filled with vigor. After a long while, when her heart had completely calmed down, Xia Jingyu looked at Su Yu. His cheeks were much thinner. She could imagine how much pain Su Yu had endured in the past half a month, buried in the rubble. But the biggest change was Su Yu's long hair. His black hair had once fluttered in the wind, but now was silver white. His purple robe and silver hair made him look like a deity. Brother Yu, your hair and your eyes. Xia Jingyu finally realized that Su Yu had not opened his eyes. His eyes, which had once been like the deep starry sky, were now tightly shut. Could it be that his eyes had been damaged in the landslide? Although Su Yu had not opened his eyes, it seemed as if he could see everything. He closed his eyes and smiled. It's inconvenient for me to open my eyes, but it's not a big deal. As for my hair, a faint smile and relief blossomed at the corner of his mouth. A trace of poison remains in my body. Although it has been expelled, it will still affect me. My hair will be difficult to change. That day, the Slayer King had grabbed Su Yu's ankle with his venom-covered bony claws. A trace of poison remained in his body. Within half a month, Su Yu's hair turned white overnight. Xia Jingyu stroked Su Yu's silver hair and wept in self-reproach. I'm sorry, Brother Yu. I couldn't save you earlier. Su Yu closed his eyes and smiled. His heart was filled with gratitude. No, it was Jingyu who saved me. On that day, boulders tumbled down, heaven and earth split apart, and doomsday arrived. Su Yu, who was about to be buried, suddenly discovered the trap that he had set up. At the critical moment, he used the entwined dragon's silk to escape into the pit. Shortly after, a giant rock was placed on top of the pit, blocking the entrance and trapping Su Yu inside. However, it was also because of this that none of the crushed stones could enter the pit. Su Yu had avoided the fate of being crushed to death by the rubble. But outside of the giant rock, there were many crushed stones. If Su Yu had moved the giant rock, it would have caused the rubble above to tilt, completely burying him. It was Xia Jingyu. For 5 days and 5 nights, without sleep or rest, she had moved away most of the crushed stones. Only then did Su Yu have a chance to crawl out safely. If not for Xia Jingyu's persistence, Su Yu would have been buried alive. In the past half a month, Su Yu had relied on melted snow to quench his thirst and the moss on the rocks to survive. Brother Yu. Xia Jingyu's head was deeply pressed against Su Yu's chest, her heart aching. Did Su Yu survive in such a hopeless situation? When the crowd regained their senses, they sighed. Su Yu was lucky, but Xia Jingyu's persistence had saved him. Qiu Changjian was pleasantly surprised. He had just remembered his duty. He looked at Lu Qing and announced helplessly, In the challenge, Xia Jingyu has lost. The challenge is over. It's over. Su Yu's purple robe blurred as he disappeared. The crowd was shocked. From the corner of their eyes, they saw a silver-haired man in purple robes appear on the arena. His inhuman demeanor shocked the crowd. Lu Qing, who was about to leave the arena, frowned. "What, you want to challenge me?" The crowd was shocked. Su Yu had returned and immediately wanted to challenge a holy disciple. Anticipation filled the faces of the crowd. They all wanted to see how Su Yu's abilities had changed, even though he looked like a completely different person. But, to everyone's surprise, no. Su Yu calmly shook his head. "Then what do you want to do?" Lu Qing secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Su Yu was strange, and he did not want to fight him. Furthermore, he had humiliated Xia Jingyu earlier, so it was inevitable that he would feel guilty. Su Yu's eyes were still closed. His purple robes and silver hair made him look like a celestial being amidst the ice and snow. He was calm and ethereal, as if he did not belong to this world. "I'm not challenging you. I'm teaching you the ways of a person." The arena was silent. Even a level 9 upper tier would not dare be so arrogant as to teach a level 9 lower tier the ways of a person. Su Yu's tone was arrogant, but his character was shallow. Could it be that he had encountered a great disaster that caused his personality to change? Xia Jingyu's eyes were filled with doubt and confusion. In her memory, Su Yu was definitely not arrogant and conceited. Why was he acting like this now? Lu Qing laughed angrily. "Teaching me the ways of a person? You think you're worthy? Teaching you is enough. Make your move." Su Yu stood with his hands clasped behind his back. "Fine. You asked for it." Lu Qing was furious. He had been challenged in front of everyone and was being taught the ways of a person. If he were to retreat now, how would he be able to face others in the future? Great River flows east. Saint level cultivation technique, top class. His power was like a surging river, unstoppable. His momentum was terrifying, his power unparalleled. The strong wind blew against Su Yu's purple robes. His silver hair danced in the wind. Su Yu closed his eyes with his hands behind his back, not moving an inch. Crack. Lu Qing attacked fiercely, but his fist stopped 3 inches away from Su Yu, unable to advance any further. A thick wall of ice suddenly appeared and forcefully blocked Lu Qing's fists. How is this possible?" Lu Qing was shocked. Su Yu had not moved a single finger from beginning to end, yet he had blocked Lu Qing's strongest attack. "I don't believe it." Lu Qing's eyes were fierce as he continued to attack. But no matter how one looked at it, the moment his fists collided, a white light flashed and a wall of ice appeared, blocking his fists. Su Yu had not moved an inch. The audience was dead silent. In their eyes, Lu Qing had used all his skills, but could not do anything to Su Yu, who was standing still. From beginning to end, Su Yu had not made a move. A moment later, Lu Qing had attacked more than 10 times, but Su Yu was not injured in the slightest. Lu Qing's heart pounded wildly. Are you a human or a ghost? Since you've had enough now, it's my turn." Su Yu closed his eyes and sighed. Lu Qing's expression changed. Whoosh! Lu Qing no longer had any intention of fight. His figure flashed as he left the arena. At the same time, he anxiously shouted, "I admit." Slap, slap, slap. Suddenly, a ray of purple light teleported in front of him. Lu Qing only had time to see the silver-haired figure in the purple robe before his face was slapped 3 times. The crisp sound reverberated throughout the arena. These 3 slaps are to teach you not to think too highly of yourself. You do not know that you are a frog at the bottom of a well, unable to withstand a single blow, Su Yu calmly said. Lu Qing's face was swollen and burning. He could not believe that he had been slapped. Su Yu, you insulted me. Slap, slap, slap. Lu Qing could not even see his movements clearly before his face was slapped 3 more times. These 3 slaps are to teach you not to take advantage of your power to bully others. Those who humiliate others will be humiliated by others. Hearing the humiliating words, Lu Qing was furious. But at this moment, he knew that he was no match for Su Yu. He hurriedly said, "I admit." Slap, Slap, slap. Su Yu did not give him a chance to finish his sentence, slapping him 3 more times. The last 3 slaps are to teach you to be sensible. You need to know who you can bully and who you cannot bully. The lesson is over. You can scram now. Su Yu flicked his finger. Lu Qing tumbled down from the arena. The crowd looked up at Su Yu on the arena, inexplicably shocked. The 10th-ranked holy disciple, a strong level 9 lower tier, could only be slapped by Su Yu without the ability to retaliate? Lu Qing's face was swollen and bloodied, his eyes filled with hatred. The pain was a small matter, but being publicly slapped and taught a lesson, losing face was a big deal. Brother Kuan, covering his face, Lu Qing scurried in front of a holy disciple. You have to stand up for me. Su Yu is too much of a bully. The so-called Brother Kuan was the 5th-ranked holy disciple, Lu Kuan. His abilities had reached level 9 upper tier. His figure was thin, his eyes sharp, his short hair matched with his chiseled cheeks, giving off a cold and resolute feeling. Hearing this, Lu Kuan's eyes were filled with disdain. He coldly scolded, "Those who humiliate others will be humiliated by others. You humiliated my female companion first. Your skills are inferior, and you were humiliated by Su Yu. What do you have to complain about? If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being useless." Lu Qing's face alternated between green and red. He and Lu Kuan came from the same country and had a good relationship. He had thought that Lu Kuan would stand up for him. He did not expect to be humiliated instead. But a newbie dares to teach a holy disciple a lesson. Such arrogance cannot be allowed to continue. Lu Kuan let out a cold grunt, leaping onto the arena. Whoosh, standing steadily on the arena, Lu Kuan coldly snorted. Before you teach someone a lesson, you must be prepared to be taught a lesson. Do not think too highly of yourself. Let me teach you this lesson. Feeling his level 9 upper tier cultivation level, Su Yu was calm, lightly shaking his head. You are no match for me. Step down. Insolence. Lu Kuan was furious. Open your eyes and let me see how arrogant you are. Su Yu calmly said, You are not worthy of me opening my eyes. Huh, Su Yu. I, the holy disciple, will definitely teach you a lesson about humility. Lu Kuan was furious. He did not even have a right to look at Su Yu with his eyes open. Su Yu helplessly shook his head. He had a reason not to open his eyes. He had narrowly escaped death, and many changes had occurred to his body, including this eye. He could not open it so easily. Kneel and receive your punishment. Lu Kuan growled. Whoosh! Lu Kuan's toes moved, his figure as fast as lightning as he attacked Su Yu. But at this moment, a figure flew over from the edge of the sanctuary. He held a fiery red jade pendant in his hand, emitting a captivating red light in the wind, transforming into a fire phoenix in the air. Envoy of Fengwang Valley, Lu Kuan's pupils dilated, subconsciously stopping what he was doing, his eyes filled with shock. The Shenyue continent, Fengwang Empire's Fengwang Valley, and the sanctuary of the Alliance of the 9 Empires were all extraordinary places. It was rumored that the master of Fengwang Valley was also a holy king. The Holy King and the sanctuary were the only 2 holy kings on the entire continent. The Holy King's aged eyes glowed. His cross-legged figure leisurely got up and strode out of the Holy King's hall. Chapter 88. Shua. The figure rapidly approached. He was about 20 years old, and his face was like a jade crown. His facial features were elegant, and he was extraordinarily handsome. His cultivation base of level 9 upper tier was shocking. In high spirits, he lightly leaped onto the arena and gazed at the Holy King from afar. He cupped his hands and bowed. Fengwang Valley Zhan Fiyun pays his respects to the Holy King on the orders of the Valley Master. The Holy King said indifferently, What is it? Speak. Zhan Feiyun was neither servile nor overbearing. With a calm expression, he said, Pass the message on behalf of the Valley Master. Go quickly. We won't wait for you if you're late. What a good. I won't wait for you when you are out of time. How dare he be so rude to a Saint King? The master of Fengwang Valley was too arrogant. The Holy King's gaze was sharp and cold. Go back and tell her that I will not show mercy in the battle of the century. Yes, I will definitely convey the Holy King's message. Zhang Feiyun's face was full of respect as he slowly withdrew. Wait! Right at this moment, Lu Kuan scolded in a low voice. Zhang Feiyun stopped in his tracks and looked at him with contempt. What's the matter? Lu Kuan's expression was ice cold. Do you think you can come and go as you please in the heavenly sanctuary? Do you think this is Fengwang Valley? What do you want? Zhang Feiyun was calm and composed. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, a playful smile on his face. Lu Kuan's eyes burned with battle intent. I want to see if the arrogance of the people of Fengwang Valley is worthy of their strength. Hearing this, the holy disciples watched silently. Fengwang Valley had gone too far. To travel thousands of miles to send a message to the Sage King and not wait for him on time was a great disrespect to the Sage King. Zhang Feiyun was also condescending and arrogant. It was necessary to teach him a lesson. You? Zhang Feiyun shook his head lightly, his eyes filled with disdain. You're no match for me. Lu Kuan laughed angrily. First, he was looked down upon by Su Yu. Then he was looked down upon by Zhang Feiyun, who was at the same cultivation level as him. If he did not fight, his reputation would be tarnished. Whether I'm a match or not, we'll only know after we try. Take this, Lu Kuan shouted. Rise and fall of the mountains and seas. Lu Kuan bellowed as a saint-grade holy decree appeared around him. Walala. In everyone's ears, it was as if they could hear the sound of raging waves crashing into the mountains. The magnificent momentum shook one's soul. Puff, the would-be holy disciple who was at the edge of the arena, flew backward, as if he had been hit by a huge impact. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Qing's face was pale and fearful. Lu Kuan's holy decree was so strong that it was hard to beat him among the holy disciples. Only the top 3 holy disciples could compete with Lu Kuan in terms of holy decree. However, what shocked everyone was that rumble, the power of the mountains and seas suppressing the heavens, pressed down on Zhang Feiyun. Facing such a terrifying force, Zhang Feiyun remained calm. His lips curled into a disdainful smile. Just SOSO. The light at the end of the tunnel. Shua. Zhang Feiyun's figure was blurry and indistinct like a shadow of light. It flickered indeterminately and was difficult to grasp. The power of the mountains and seas seemed to be pressing down on the air, unable to do anything to Zhang Feiyun. Everyone in the arena was shocked. This is a saint-grade holy decree? No, it's a saint decree that's even purer and stronger than a saint-grade saint decree. Zhang Feiyun's lips curled into an indifferent and disdainful smile. A mere saint-grade holy decree dares to come out and make a fool of yourself. Lu Kuan's eyes were filled with shock. What kind of holy decree did Zhang Feiyun possess? Without giving Lu Kuan any time to be shocked, Zhang Feiyun strode forward as though he was taking a stroll in the park. His speed was also extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he was close to Lu Kuan, fists suppressing the mountains and rivers. Zhang Feiyun threw a punch. Under the punch, it was as though the mountains and rivers had shattered and the rivers flowed in reverse. It was as though thousands of miles of mountains and rivers had been suppressed by the punch. Lu Kuan faced the punch head-on. He could feel the unavoidable force of the punch, palm destroying the earth. Lu Kuan gritted his teeth and threw a punch. The air whimpered and the ground beneath his feet trembled. It was as though the palm could destroy the heavens and the earth, causing the earth to crack. The punch and the palm collided. Boom! Puff! Thud! Lu Kuan took a few steps back and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with disbelief. He was actually defeated. He was defeated in 2 moves. They were both at level 9 upper tier, but the difference in strength was shocking. Everyone in the arena sucked in a breath of cold air. The Holy King's aged eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. Zhang Feiyun, who had defeated his opponent in 2 moves, sneered, weakling. Lu Kuan's face turned red. With blood in his mouth, he said angrily, "Frog at the bottom of a well, arrogant and arrogant." The sanctuary also has a level 9 upper tier holy disciple who can defeat me in 2 moves. She is Senior Wang Jing, who is ranked 3rd. The people of Fengwang Valley are so arrogant. Aren't you afraid of making a fool of yourself? Zhang Feiyun's strength was very strong. In Fengwang Valley, he was probably ranked at the top. Being so arrogant, it would be difficult for him to achieve anything. Who knew? Zhang Feiyun's lips curled into a playful smile. Oh, frog at the bottom of a well? Do you know what my ranking is in Fengwang Valley? Lu Kuan's face stiffened. Zhang Feiyun's playful smile made Lu Kuan feel serious. Perhaps the overall strength of Fengwang Valley was slightly stronger than the sanctuary. However, they were all trained by the Holy King. Even if there was a difference, it should not be too big. Haha, are you trying to tell me that in Fengwang Valley, you are not even in the top 5? Lu Kuan laughed coldly. With Zhang Feiyun's strength, it was not impossible for him to be ranked 4th or 5th in Fengwang Valley. After all, if his strength was placed in the sanctuary, he would be in the top 3. Huh? Zhang Feiyun's lips curled into a disdainful smile. Top 5? You sanctuary disciples are the real frogs at the bottom of a well. In Fengwang Valley, I am only ranked 10th. What? 10th? Everyone was shocked. To be ranked 3rd in the sanctuary, he was only ranked 10th in Fengwang Valley. If Zhang Feiyun was not lying, then how terrifying was Fengwang Valley's strength? The hearts of the sanctuary disciples trembled like never before. If the 10th was so strong, then what kind of talent would the 1st be? The Holy King's eyes were calm. After a moment of silence, he said, I will only bring the top 5 holy disciples with me to Fengwang Valley. The rest of the holy disciples are useless. The 10 holy disciples were shocked again. Zhang Feiyun's appearance had made the Holy King change his mind. The hearts of the holy disciples trembled, especially those ranked 6th to 10th. Their expressions changed drastically. If they could not follow the Holy King, they would face the same fate as the prospective holy disciples. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In an instant, the gazes of the 5 holy disciples shot toward the 5th-ranked Lu Kuan. According to the rules of the Holy Disciple Challenge, one could replace one of the holy disciples by defeating one of them. Even if their abilities were slightly lacking, this was their only chance to follow the Holy King. Senior Lu, I challenge you. The holy disciples who did not have the courage to fight Lu Kuan grasped at the last straw and requested to be challenged. The Holy King acquiesced. However, an indifferent voice drifted over from a corner of the arena. Senior brothers, could it be that you've forgotten that I'm still in the arena? The 5 holy disciples finally realized that the battle between Su Yu and Lu Kuan had not yet begun. Zhang Feiyun had interrupted them midway. According to the order, Su Yu should be the first to challenge. Lu Kuan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and returned to the arena. His eyes flashed. Su Yu, to think you still have the courage to challenge me after witnessing my battle. I am in awe. Even though he had lost, no one doubted his abilities. However, what shocked Lu Kuan and the rest of the arena was that Su Yu's eyes were tightly shut, not facing Lu Kuan. Senior Lu, you have misunderstood. The person I want to challenge is not you, it's him. Su Yu stood with his hands behind his back and took a step forward, facing Zhang Feiyun. What? The person Su Yu wanted to challenge was Zhang Feiyun. His abilities were enough to place him in the top 3 of the sanctuary. Zhang Feiyun's eyes flashed with a cold light. Oh, you are Xiener's fiancé, Su Yu? He had asked around and easily found out that the famous Su Yu had entered the sanctuary. Zhang Feiyun naturally did not dare kill Su Yu, who had become a sanctuary disciple. This matter required the master of Fengwang Valley to intervene. Hearing Xiener's name, Su Yu's heart trembled. Xiener was indeed in Fengwang Valley. Was she well? Was she being nurtured? Had she been bullied? Suddenly, his heart was filled with the image of Xiener's petite figure. He wished he could rush to Fengwang Valley to meet Xiener. Do you want to fight me? Su Yu felt a slight hostility from Zhang Feiyun. Zhang Feiyun coldly grunted. That's exactly what I wanted. A blind man like you is not worthy of Xiener. Whoosh! Jean Feiyun took a step forward, his lips curled into a mocking smile. How about I let you have 3 moves first? Who asked me to have a close relationship with Siener? His words were laced with humiliation. Relying on a woman to gain the upper hand was a humiliation to a man. No need. You can attack with all your might, before you have the chance to. Su Yu was indifferent, his tone calm, like the calm waters of autumn and winter. But his words caused a huge uproar. Everyone in the arena was shocked. Su Yu's words meant that if he wanted to, Jean Feiyun would not even have the chance to attack. Even for the Holy King, his old eyes were filled with doubt. Long Xiaoya guessed that Su Yu was going to use a scheme to win with his wits. Having seen how Su Yu killed the Slayer King, Long Xiaoya had no doubt that Su Yu was scheming. Jean Feiyun was stunned. He did not expect Su Yu to say such ridiculous words. Huh? Jean Feiyun regained his senses, shaking his head and laughing. I thought that Siener's fiancé, even if he was a commoner, would be a talented man. I did not expect you to be blind in both eyes and heart to say such foolish words. How pathetic. Jean Feiyun's expression turned cold. Shaking his head, I feel bad for Siener to give herself to an ignorant person like you. If she follows you in the future, she will be implicated and wronged. Su Yu stood calmly, expressionless as he shook his head. I gave you a chance to attack, but you used it to make noise. Are all the people of Fenghuang Valley so annoying? Su Yu turned a deaf ear to his words, treating them like air. Jean Feiyun was furious at Su Yu's disregard, his expression cold. Humph. Who do you think you are? Let me teach you a lesson on behalf of Fenghuang Valley. Whoosh! Jean Feiyun attacked, but Su Yu did not move, his voice calm. Your chance to attack has already been used. In front of me, you do not even have the right to attack. Su Yu moved. This was the first time he had moved since he entered the arena. Chapter 89. In an instant, the snowstorm drifted. The snowflakes in the sky seemed to have sensed the summons of their king and danced wildly in the sky. An icy aura swept out and surrounded the sky and the earth. Jean Feiyun's expression froze as he sensed the strange changes. What a farce! Jean Feiyun harumphed disdainfully before making his move decisively. Mountain suppressing fist. He was unable to unleash this punch, because the snowstorm that swept through the world suddenly transformed into countless ice thorns. Snowflakes were everywhere. The icicle thorns were all-pervasive. Jean Feiyun was caught off guard. With a miserable scream, Jean Feiyun's body was instantly pierced by thousands of ice shards. Fresh blood sprayed out in all directions and condensed into blood-colored ice needles that fell onto the ground of the arena. Light at the end of the tunnel. At the critical moment, Jean Feiyun decisively used his holy decree and tried to use his body of light to avoid the pervasive ice attack. However, he did not have time to display his holy decree. Crack! The snowflakes in the sky suddenly shattered, turning into countless crystalline drops that dripped onto Jean Feiyun's body. The coldness of the cold liquid was bone-piercing. The blood dripped onto Jean Feiyun's body and condensed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a breath's time, Jean Feiyun was turned into an ice sculpture. He still maintained the posture of displaying the holy decree, but in the end, he was unable to display it. Slowly putting down his finger, Su Yu stood on the spot, his feet never moving a single step. I've already given you the chance to attack. Su Yu sighed softly and stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His silver hair danced in the snowflakes that filled the sky. A purple-clothed phantom with silver hair like an immortal. The silver-haired, purple-clothed figure stood quietly on the arena, contrasting with the deathly silence below the arena. Jean Feiyun actually didn't have the chance to make a move. Regardless of whether it was the mountain river suppressing fist or the willow glimmerflower, Su Yu could not even use them with a lift of his finger. The deathly silence lasted for a moment before the sound of people gasping could be heard. Fear was written all over Lu Kuan's face, and his heart was racing. He had always felt that Su Yu was an arrogant person. However, after witnessing the battle with his own eyes, he knew that Su Yu was merely stating a fact. Jean Feiyun, who had defeated him in 2 moves, did not even have the chance to attack Su Yu. He was indeed no match for Su Yu, and he was not worthy of Su Yu opening his eyes. At this moment, Lu Kuan was filled with respect and admiration. The rest of the people finally felt relieved. Su Yu wasn't being arrogant. He was merely speaking from a height that they had never reached. The Holy King was surprised. He stared at Su Yu's heart thoughtfully. The top 3 of the 10 great holy disciples stood side by side. Junior Wang Jing, how do you think Su Yu's abilities compare to yours? Chun Liang, who was ranked 2nd, glanced at Su Yu indifferently. Wang Jing's bright eyes were calm. After pondering for a while, she slowly shook her head. Stronger than me, not weaker. The corner of Chun Liang's mouth twitched. Junior sister, you don't have to belittle yourself. His strength can only be said to be passable. He's still not as good as you. Is that so? Wang Jing shook her head inwardly. If Su Yu's abilities were only at this level, then he was indeed weaker than her. But what if Su Yu still had some hidden techniques? Zhao Guang was calm and composed. Regardless of the time or place, he was always composed like a rock. He glanced at Su Yu and said indifferently, not bad. Chun Liang was secretly shocked, slightly dissatisfied. Su Yu had actually received a passable evaluation from Zhao Guang. He had overestimated Su Yu. Crack, boom. The ice sculpture shattered, and Zhang Feiyun was freed from the ice. His entire body was frozen stiff, as if he had fallen into an icy lake, causing his body to shiver. However, what was even more shaken was his heart. Su Yu was actually this powerful. In front of him, there was no chance for him to make a move. Although Su Yu had made use of the current weather, who could guarantee that he didn't have any hidden tricks up his sleeves? Zhang Feiyun was ashamed when he recalled his arrogance in front of Su Yu, even saying that he would let Su Yu have 3 moves. Zhang Feiyun covered his face and retreated from the arena. He was too ashamed to stay any longer and left in a sorry state. Many heavenly sanctuary disciples felt proud and elated. No matter how powerful he was, he would not have the chance to attack Su Yu. Swish, swish, swish. The 5 holy disciples fixed their gazes on Su Yu. Zhang Feiyun defeated Lu Kuan with a flip of his hand, while Su Yu killed Zhang Feiyun with a flick of his finger. Without a doubt, Su Yu had replaced Lu Kuan as the 5th strongest holy disciple. If he wanted to follow the Holy King, he had to defeat Su Yu. However, after witnessing Su Yu's power with their own eyes, the 5 holy disciples found it difficult to summon the will to challenge him. After struggling for a while, they finally gave up. Lu Kuan and the others still had the will to fight, but Su Yu was like a natural moat that made them feel despair. The crowd sighed. Once upon a time, Su Yu was merely a level 5 upper-tier newcomer. A month later, he was already one of the top 5 holy disciples. Holy King, according to the promise, if I become a holy disciple, can you take back the holy energy in Jingyu's body? Su Yu faced the Holy King and calmly said, this was the promise the Holy King had made to Su Yu. If Su Yu is unable to become a holy disciple within a month, Xia Jingyu would be destroyed as a warning to others. Unexpectedly, the Holy King's eyes were cold. No, the entire arena was deathly silent. The Holy King had publicly broken the promise. The crowd could not understand why the Holy King would want to kill Xia Jingyu. The strand of holy energy had persisted for a month and was on the verge of exploding. Su Yu's expression suddenly turned cold. Holy King, are you forcing me to attack you? The Holy King's aged face was indifferent as usual. He took a step forward and looked up at the snow-filled sky. The top 5 holy disciples, follow me. The sanctuary, from today onwards, disband. He had actually ignored Su Yu's cold words. At that moment, the holy energy in Xia Jingyu's body seemed to have been affected by some sort of disturbance and suddenly exploded. Oomph! Xia Jingyu let out a light grunt, her delicate body trembling, her jade face filled with pain. Swoosh! Su Yu flew onto the arena and pulled Xia Jingyu into his arms, his eyes cold. Holy King, you know. Xia Jingyu stretched out her slender hand and covered Su Yu's mouth. You have misunderstood the Holy King. Xia Jingyu looked at the Holy King, her heart filled with gratitude. This strand of holy energy is actually the power to increase one's cultivation base. The Holy King is rewarding you. Everyone was shocked. It turned out that Su Yu's resolute words of, "I have to see someone," had moved the Holy King. At that time, he had pretended to be angry and injected the holy energy into Xia Jingyu's body as a threat. In reality, it was a spur for Su Yu to train hard within a month. At the same time, it was also a sign of appreciation for Su Yu's courage to defy him. This strand of holy energy would not cause Xia Jingyu's body to explode and die. Instead, it would lie dormant in her body for a month before exploding and increasing Xia Jingyu's cultivation base. The Holy King's good intentions were truly moving. Su Yu was moved. He cupped his fists and bowed apologetically. "Thank you, Holy King, for your help." The Holy King, who was walking in front, let out a cold grunt. "Don't do it again." At that moment, Xia Jingyu was on the verge of a breakthrough and could not walk freely. Su Yu squatted down and gently said, "I'll carry you." Xia Jingyu blushed slightly, biting her lips, under the watchful eyes of the public. But after experiencing Su Yu's return, Xia Jingyu's heart was much calmer. She could no longer deny that Su Yu had an irreplaceable place in her heart. Xia Jingyu's face was flushed red as she climbed on Su Yu's back. She lowered her head and shyly closed her eyes, not daring to meet the eyes of the crowd. Feeling the two soft lumps on his back gently pressing against each other, warm and fragrant, Su Yu's heart was filled with a strange feeling, but his heart quickly became clear. He was indebted to Xia Jingyu. He could not have any improper thoughts. The Holy King frowned, indifferently saying, "I will only bring the first 5 holy disciples. Xia Jingyu cannot follow." Xia Jingyu's face stiffened, her lips quivering. "Brother Yu, put me down." After this farewell, they would be far apart. Perhaps she would never see Su Yu again in this lifetime. Xia Jingyu's heart clenched, her chest uncomfortable. "She can go." Su Yu tossed out a phoenix-shaped jade pendant. This was the jade pendant Senior Qin had given him. With this jade pendant, one could enter Fengwang Valley. The Holy King glanced at it, slightly startled, and helplessly nodded. "All right, she can go." Xia Jingyu was pleasantly surprised. She hugged Su Yu's neck, her red lips exhaling. "Thank you, Brother Yu." Feeling the fragrance close to his ear, Su Yu smiled. Long Xiaoye gazed at Xia Jingyu's serene back, her eyes filled with wishes. "Jingyu, I wish you happiness." Before leaving, the Holy King entered the evil forest. Half a day later, he came out with 100 saint-grade spirit elixirs. Xiao Changjian, distribute 1 to everyone. From now on, the sanctuary will be disbanded. The Holy King made his final arrangements. The slayers in the evil forest had all been killed by him in half a day. Without the Holy King to oversee them, they would become a huge threat. Su Yu was shocked by the Holy King's strength. How vast was the evil forest? The number of hidden slayers was vast and secretive, but in just half a day they had all been killed. His level had already reached the realm of God, as described in the ancient texts. If you wish to stay in the sanctuary to train, you can, but you must not mention the Holy King's name again. The Holy King's voice was bleak. "Master." The 5 holy disciples bowed in unison, sending him off with tears in their eyes. The sanctuary of this generation was disbanded. Before leaving the sanctuary, the Holy King looked back at the sanctuary he had built with his own hands. His old eyes were filled with reluctance, but it was quickly replaced by absolute despair. "Holy King, why are we heading to Fengwang Valley?" Su Yu asked along the way. Zhao Guang coldly rebuked, "Junior Su, how can you doubt the Holy King's motives?" As a holy disciple, how could he doubt the Holy King's actions? Now that things have come to this, you all need to know. The Holy King waved his hand, his voice bleak. "I founded the sanctuary 100 years ago with the goal of gathering talents from all over the world. It was the same for Fengwang Valley. The Holy King revealed a secret that no one knew about. Our 2 sides had once made an agreement to each nurture their own talents, and after 100 years, we would meet again for the final battle. The Holy King continued. After 100 years of trials and countless generations of talents, we finally nurtured the strongest generation. It was the same for Wang Valley. After 100 years of trials, we nurtured the strongest generation of talents. So you was stunned. Wang Valley and the Sanctuary had agreed to the Battle of the Century? No wonder the Sanctuary had established martial arts training institutes and the holy meet in the alliance of the 9 empires. It was to select the talents of the world in preparation for the Battle of the Century. It was a battle that transcended empires and gathered the pinnacle of the continent. The Battle of the Century. But why did the Holy King and the Master of Wang Valley agree to the Battle of the Century? The Holy King did not explain, and so you did not ask. In this battle, you all must obtain a high ranking because this is the only chance in your life to break through to the Holy King level. What? Everyone was shocked. The only chance to break through to the Holy King level? The entire Shinua continent was as big as 10 Earths. In the past 100 years, there had never been a third Holy King. Without a doubt, the birth of a Holy King was extremely difficult. Chapter 90. Zhao Guang, Chun Liang, and Wang Jing, the 3 strongest holy disciples, trembled as they revealed unprecedented battle intent. In this battle, I, Zhao Guang, will be the king of the century. Zhao Guang, who had been silent all this while, let out a rare burst of sharp words. Across 100 years, this was the pinnacle of the continent's battle. Whether it was an ant or a dragon, it would all be decided in this battle. Chun Liang and Wang Jing were unwilling to admit defeat, their eyes glowing. Su Yu and Xia Jingyu could not help but feel emotional. The chance to change one's fate between an ant and a dragon was all in the Battle of the Century. In this battle, I, Su Yu, will fight against the world. Su Yu closed his eyes, about to open them. An earth-shattering aura appeared. In this world, if one could not become a supreme being, one would not be able to control one's fate. Su Yu had risen from humble beginnings. He had suffered the pain of his love being stolen, his family being exterminated, and the hatred of not being able to see Sienna again. Everything was because of his abilities. The weak had their fates controlled. The strong controlled the fates of others. Su Yu wanted to become a holy king, and from then on, control his own fate. Zhao Guang looked over coldly, lightly shaking his head. With me, Zhao Guang. Here, you can only look up to me. In the Battle of the Century, everything will be clear. Su Yu retorted. Zhao Guang shook his head. You overestimate yourself. The Battle of the Century had roused everyone's battle intent. Who would become the king of the continent? The king of the century belonged to? A month later, in the hinterland of the Wang Empire, in an uninhabited area, in a valley shrouded in mist, divine energy filled the air. In the valley, on the training grounds, a petite figure was panting, sweating profusely. Opposite her was a young man in his 20s, with an imposing appearance and a warm smile. Junior Sienna, your cultivation level has increased too quickly. Your cultivation technique unable to keep up. Hence, your overall abilities are low, only equivalent to a level 8 lower tier. The young man retracted his fists, commenting with a smile, pointing out Sienna's shortcomings. Sienna wiped the sweat from her forehead, wrinkling her nose. I will catch up to Senior Lu Guang sooner or later. Lu Guang was gentle and elegant, silently smiling. He looked at Sienna, his gaze filled with love. The elders who were watching the battle smiled in relief. Sienna is indeed worthy of the 9 Phoenix bloodline. With sufficient medicinal pellets, her cultivation speed is unimaginable. Now, she is at the peak of level 8 heaven. Although her foundation is not stable, she will be able to get rid of the hidden dangers with a little more tempering. Lu Guang is even better. His talent is unparalleled in the continent. Throughout the 100 years of history, no one can match him. In terms of strength, he has long surpassed us seniors and is only below the Holy King. It is said that Lu Guang had challenged the Holy King before. Lu Guang, the strongest genius of Fengwang Valley after 100 years. His strength had surpassed the peak of level 9 and stepped into the realm of half-step Holy King. In the entire Mystic Moon continent, apart from the two Holy Kings, no one was a match for him. Invincible in the world, it was admirable. Haha, have you realized that Lu Guang and Xian are a good match? Several elders looked over. The two of them stood side by side. One was elegant and handsome, while the other was delicate and exquisite. They were indeed a good match. You may not know this, but the Valley Master has decided to betroth Xian to Lu Guang after the 100-generation battle. They will get married today. Haha, they are a perfect match. But I heard that Qin Xian has a fiancé. Fiancé? Has he been approved by Fengwang Valley? If not, what does he think he is? All the elders shook their heads coldly, smiling as they looked at the two about to get married. As for Suyu, he was completely ignored. Dong, 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 the distant sound of a bell could be heard. Everyone's expression changed. The Valley Master has summoned us. Could it be that the Holy King from the Alliance of the Nine Empires has arrived? Lu Guang's elegant and handsome face was overflowing with coldness. His lips curled into a disdainful smile. I heard from Fei Yun that Xian Er's fiancé is among them. Just in time. Fengwang Valley, Meeting Hall. Suyu and the rest had finally arrived at Fengwang Valley after a long journey. They sat quietly in the hall. The important members of the valley had all arrived. The master of Fengwang Valley was an old woman over 100 years old. The two holy kings looked at each other after 100 years apart. Li Guang, you have aged in 100 years. The master of Fengwang Valley sighed. The holy king's original name was Li Guang. Haha, Su Rong, you're no longer the same. Li Guang smiled. The two holy kings sighed. Time waited for no man. Suddenly, Su Rong's old eyes narrowed, fixing on a silver-haired, purple-robed young man sitting quietly with his eyes closed. You are Suyu? Su Rong asked indifferently. The sanctuary disciples were shocked. Did the master of Fengwang Valley know Suyu? She had actually called out Suyu. Suyu slowly raised his eyes, replying with his eyes closed. Yes. Su Rong's expression was indifferent. After a moment of silence, she said, Your engagement with Xian is annulled. Even though her voice was calm, it had an unquestionable authority. It was as if she was a deity looking down on the earth, issuing orders. The peaceful hall suddenly became tense. The first thing the master of Fengwang Valley did when she met with the guests from the sanctuary was annulling the engagement between Suyu and Qin Xian. Suyu's expression was calm. This scene was within his expectations. It was just that it came more swiftly and mercilessly. Why? Suyu calmly asked. Su Rong retracted her gaze, looking at him in disdain. You are not worthy. Not worthy? Suyu is not worthy of an engagement with Xian Haha, my engagement with Xian was presided over by my father. The sun, moon, and heaven are my witnesses. It is not up to an outsider to say what to do, Suyu said calmly. Su Rong's eyes were cold, her anger evident. Young man, I admire your courage in defying me, but I will only give you one chance. Swear to annul your engagement with Xian or die. Suyu stood up slowly and leisurely. I will only say the same thing once. You don't have a right to die. Su Rong's old eyes were filled with killing intent. With a flick of her finger, a bolt of holy king energy crossed the air and attacked. An old voice filled with laughter could be heard. Li Guang sat quietly, gently opening the teacup in his hand and slowly taking a sip. With a flick of his pinky, he deflected the bolt of holy king energy. Su Rong, how dare you bully my disciple in front of me? Are you trying to embarrass me? The holy king calmly said. Even though his voice was calm, it was difficult to conceal his anger. He had brought his disciple here to participate in the battle of the century. The master of Fengwang Valley had killed Suyu in front of him. Wasn't this a slap to his face? Be it for his own pride or for Suyu, he had to take action. Su Rong retracted her aura and said apologetically, I'm sorry, I acted on impulse. To be able to nurture such a rebellious person, your sanctuary is extraordinary. Hearing the harsh words, Li Guang smiled but did not speak. He had already witnessed Su Yu's courage. Glancing at Su Rong, Li Guang coldly said, I don't care what grudge you have with my disciple. As long as he is my disciple, I will not allow you to bully him. Don't doubt my words. Su Rong's eyes were cold. She knew Li Guang's character, and he would do what he said. Fine. After the battle of the century, he will no longer be your disciple. If you still try to stop me then, don't blame me for not showing mercy. Su Rong saw Su Yu as a thorn in her side. Li Guang lightly grunted, but did not comment. Su Yu's eyes were cold. The battle of the century had to reach a level where no one could interfere. Whether or not he was worthy of Xian'er would be decided with his fists. Whoosh, whoosh. More and more disciples entered. Who is Su Yu? A person with an imposing appearance asked coldly as he strode in. Hearing this, everyone in Fengwang Valley, regardless of whether it was the elders or disciples, stood up to welcome him. Their reverence was second only to the Holy King. What is it? Su Yu sat quietly, calmly asking. Whoosh, a pair of eyes shot over. Su Yu's silver hair trembled slightly. Just a gaze could materialize. This person's abilities were unfathomable. Lu Guang's cold eyes shot over, sizing up Su Yu. Silver hair, purple robe, eyes that were tightly shut, mysterious and noble. But abilities cancel the engagement. You're not worthy of Xian'er. Lu Guang stood with his hands behind his back, calmly ordering. Su Yu's lips curled into a smile. And then I'll marry her. Lu Guang's expression was calm, confident and at ease. I am worthy of her. You are not. It's that simple, that cruel. Worthy or not, it's not up to an outsider to judge, Su Yu calmly said. As for you wanting to marry her, may I ask, what are you? Lu Guang's eyes flashed, arrogantly saying, Remember my name, Lu Guang, the man who will marry Xian'er in a few days. As for you, pitiful creature in this cruel world, you've misunderstood. I'm not interested in your name. I'm just asking you, what are you? Su Yu lightly shook his head. Hearing the insult, Lu Guang's gaze gradually turned cold. You're looking for death. Su Yu calmly smiled. Those who wanted me dead are all dead. Only I'm still alive. Lu Guang coldly laughed, his eyes filled with pity. Before coming in, you should have asked around about who Lu Guang is. Your stupidity and ignorance will make you pay a heavy price. Who is Lu Guang? The strongest person below the Holy King. The legendary genius who had dominated the continent for 100 years. He was only one step away from the Holy King. Angering him was no different from angering the Holy King. The only difference was, angering the Holy King was incurable. If you angered him, only the Holy King could save you. With that, Lu Guang took big strides forward, coldly saying, If I want you dead, even the heavens can forget about stopping me. Rumble. Lu Guang was 10 meters away, a wisp of vital energy condensed to the extreme, like a shadow. It was so fast that no one had time to react. Not good. The people from the sanctuary all cried out in alarm, but it was too late. Su Yu had no time to react. His chest was pierced on the spot. Both the sanctuary and Fengwang Valley were shocked. Lu Guang's attack had already surpassed the limits of a martial artist, with a hint of the demeanor of a holy king. The legendary genius of the continent, the strongest person below the Holy King, was indeed terrifying. Creak! Su Yu, who had been pierced, turned into sparkling light and dissipated into the air. The crowd was shocked, looking over. There was no blood on the seat. It was just an illusion of Su Yu. Because it was too realistic, no one saw through it in a short period of time. At that moment, without anyone noticing, at the entrance of the hall, a silver-haired youth in purple stood with his hands behind his back, looking up at the sky. Didn't you want to fight me? Why did you attack my afterimage? Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and gasped. The seat was 100 meters away from the entrance of the hall. In the blink of an eye, Su Yu had teleported. How'd he do it? Or was he human? Or was he a ghost? Lu Guang's eyes were cold, coldly turning back. Humph. Your speed is passable. Not just passable. His speed was extremely fast, as if he was teleporting. It was extremely difficult for anyone below the Holy King level to achieve this. So you turned a deaf ear to him, stepping out of the hall. "Oomph, you want to escape?" Lu Guang curled his lips in disdain. Suyu walked straight out of the hall, not even looking back. "No, I just don't want to fight in the hall." "Why? Are you afraid someone will stop us from fighting?" Lu Guang coldly grunted. Suyu lightly shook his head. "No, no one will stop us. You will die. But you can die. I don't want to hurt the innocent." The crowd in the hall gasped. Suyu's arrogance was unprecedented. Let's not talk about where Suyu's confidence in killing Lu Guang came from. Just Suyu's statement that he did not want to hurt the innocent was enough to shock everyone. According to Suyu's words, all the geniuses of the continent, who had gathered in the entire palace for 100 years, would lose their lives because of him. Only the Holy King's words would not seem so out of place. Suyu was too arrogant, but a few people in the sanctuary frowned. When the sanctuary disciples thought Suyu was arrogant, he had used an earth-shattering battle to silently tell everyone that he was merely stating the truth. Could it be that he was also stating the truth? If that was the case, how strong was Suyu? Lu Guang laughed angrily. "Arrogant? Let me see how much capital you have to be so arrogant." Swoosh! Lu Guang flew away. Suyu stood outside the hall, slowly turning around. A pair of eyes that had been tightly shut all this time shook slightly, finally opening slowly. For the first time, that pair of mysterious eyes opened. The next chapter was even more exciting. If you like this book, you can subscribe to continue reading. The later chapters will be even more exciting. After subscribing, you can join the subscription QQ group where I can chat often. If you do not know how to subscribe, you can enter another group where there will be relevant guidance. Chapter 91. If you like this book, like the characters, the feelings, and wanted to know who Suyu was with in the end, how many adventures he had, and what kind of strong martial artist he became, you could continue reading after subscribing. In the future, there would be 2 chapters a day at 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock in the evening. Each chapter would cost 15 cents, which would be 30 cents a day. 30 cents? It was unknown how many people would still use horn coins. Perhaps there were very few places where it could be used. But here, 30 cents could buy an author's hard work for a day. If you liked this book, if you felt that you were a reader of this book, if you wanted to continue reading, please subscribe. This was the most powerful and most affirmative support for the author. If you did not know how to subscribe to a book and how to top up, you could look at the simple explanation below. Clicking on the V chapter, the system would prompt you to purchase it, and you would need to spend some book coins. Then, clicking to top up, the system would pop up a top-up interface. The minimum was 1,000 book coins, which could be redeemed with 10 QB. If you had a Q number or a Q point in your QQ account, you could redeem it directly. If you did not, you could just top up 10 QB into your QQ account. There were many ways to top up QB. Taobao and Alipay were the simplest, and there was even a small discount. However, it required a bank card. If you did not have a bank card, you could choose to top up with a QB card, mobile phone bill top-up, landline phone top-up, and so on. There is a very detailed explanation on the internet. Subscribing and top-up were actually very simple. It was not mysterious, nor was it complicated. If everyone subscribes enthusiastically, and the average subscription is over 5,000, I can consider doing it full-time. At that time, let alone 2 chapters, I could even write 10 chapters a day for all of you to see. If you still do not know how to top up and subscribe, enter this group 3472-49546. After you enter, you can privately chat with me and ask me for details. Chapter 92. Liu Guang's expression was cold as he flew to face him. He clenched his fist, and a faint fluorescent light flickered. Disdain and coldness revolved around his eyes. "You can die in peace if you die in my hands." Liu Guang's murderous intent was revealed. Whoosh! Liu Guang flew over and attacked. His 5 fingers flickered with fluorescent light, scattering dangerous arcs of light. Chirp! However, at that moment, the power of 2 Saint Kings shot out from the palace and landed on the 2 of them. The attack that they had been waiting to unleash had been suppressed out of nowhere. "Since you can't wait to fight, let the battle of the century begin now." Su Rong sighed indifferently. Li Guang nodded in agreement, his eyes filled with hope. After waiting for 100 years, the battle of the century has finally begun. The two holy kings walked out of the palace together. Under their lead, the group arrived at the forbidden area behind Fengwang Valley. Even the people of Fengwang Valley were unfamiliar with this place. Inside the forbidden area, immortal mist swirled around, making it difficult to distinguish what was real and what was fake. Li Guang and Su Rong stood in front of the celestial mist and sighed. The two of them looked at each other and unleashed their holy power at the same time. Open. The suffocating holy power turned into a huge sword and slashed down from the sky, cutting open a path that could fit 3 people. He could vaguely see the ancient ruins in the depths of the tunnel. All of you enter quickly, Li Guang shouted. The 5 holy disciples of the sanctuary and the 10 disciples of the Phoenix sect filed in. Combined, both of them released their holy power, their faces pale. It looked like a simple attack, but it had used up all of their saint energy. The difficulty of opening the immortal mist was beyond common sense. According to the agreement, you and I are not allowed to enter. Let's wait for the result, Li Guang said calmly. A holy king's every word, action, and glance could affect a contestant's performance. For the sake of fairness, neither of them could spectate the match. Su Rong leaped onto the boulder and sat down cross-legged. She said calmly, the first 5 places belong to the Phoenix Pavilion. It's too early to say anything before we reach the final step. Li Guang shook his head, his eyes filled with confidence. In his heart, Li Guang sighed, Zhao Guang, don't let me down. Inside the forbidden area, everyone was dumbfounded. What he saw was not a ring, but a pile of ruins. The ancient palace collapsed and turned into dust. The rubble and bricks were left with the marks of time. Broken walls and eternal walls, broken dreams at dusk. Billowing space-time aura surged over. The area within a radius of 10 li was a scene of desolation. It was as if countless years ago, the ruins were extremely prosperous, but it collapsed in a single night. This place was their battlefield. On the ruins of 1,000 years of history, the war of the century would begin, and the continent would be contended for supremacy. Whether it was an ant or a dragon of the 9 heavens, it was all in this battle. In the center of the ruins stood a black puppet. Creak! The sound of metal rubbing against each other could be heard as the black puppet swayed. I'm the referee of the battle of the century. All of you, listen to my orders. The black puppet spoke in a mechanical voice. A powerful aura that did not lose out to that of a holy king came surging over. Everyone was shocked. They immediately followed the instructions and headed to the center of the ruins. The competition is a taboo. You cannot kill anyone. Otherwise, you will die. The puppet was indifferent. The rules of the competition are a duel in the arena. The loser will be eliminated and sent out of the forbidden area. Everyone had experienced countless battles, and the rules were more or less the same, so they weren't unfamiliar with it. The black puppet's gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on the 5th strongest fighter in Fengwang Valley, a cold-looking lady. Level 9 upper-tier disciples were stronger than the other 5 Level 9 upper-tier disciples of Fengwang Valley. Step forward. The first stage will be the competition for the top 5. You will challenge the rest of the contestants. The loser will be eliminated, leaving only 5 contestants. The cold-looking lady nodded, her gaze sweeping across the 5 people from the sanctuary. Her thin lips formed a cruel smile. With such abilities, you dare participate in the battle of the century? I alone can destroy all of you. Li Guang stood with his arms crossed, his gaze sweeping across Su Yu. Su Yu last, he said. Yes, Senior Li Guang, the cold-looking lady said respectfully. She looked back at Su Yu, her eyes filled with pity. On account of Senior Li Guang, you can stay until last. You have to thank Senior Li Guang. Whoosh! The cold-looking lady flew to the center of the ruins, her expression mocking. Remember my name? Chun Ling. I will destroy all the disciples of Fengwang Valley in the sanctuary. Arrogant, Chun Liang sneered. Chun Ling's cold gaze swept across the crowd, landing on the 4th-ranked holy disciple, Wang. And in terms of ranking, he was above Lu Kuan. His body was strong, like a wild beast. Thump! Wang took a step forward, his strong physique shaking the ground. "Let the duel begin," the black puppet said expressionlessly. Wang's expression was resolute as he attacked. Tiger steps, dragon steps. Wang's bones crackled as if he was frying beans. His powerful blood energy formed a thin layer of blood on the surface of his body. From afar, Wang looked like a man made of blood. His feet stepped forward like a tiger, yet also like a dragon. Every step he took was like a person's heart, suffocating and uncomfortable. Whoosh! Chun-Ling's lips curled into a cold smile, two of her fingers forming a sword. Cloud-piercing sword. Creak! It was clearly a sword finger, but it was like a divine weapon. It was as if it could destroy the heavens and shake the world. This sword was swift, fierce, and overbearing, stunning and unparalleled. Rumble. Wang's strong body was instantly pierced through his shoulder, leaving a bloody hole. He screamed in pain as he flew backward, heavily injured. Slap. As he flew backward, his figure was surrounded by fog as he teleported out of the Forbidden Grounds. Outside the Forbidden Grounds, the Holy King opened his eyes, his expression bewildered. A holy disciple was eliminated from the beginning? Zhao Guang, my life's wish is all on you. The Holy King was nervous. In the Forbidden Grounds, the challenge continued. Chun-Ling sneered and pointed. "You, who is ranked 3rd, step forward." Wang Jing's petite figure flew forward and approached him. Compared to Wang Jing was naturally better. However, Zhao Guang and Chun Liang were both serious. Chun-Ling defeated her opponent in one move. Could Wang Jing take it? With a calm expression, Wang Jing formed a claw with her fingers. Heavenly silkworm eagle claw. Chirp! 5 piercing sounds overlapped, sharp and ear-piercing. Like an eagle fighting against the heavens, it swooped down, tearing the earth apart. Speed and power combined. The holy level cultivation technique had reached the peak. Good move. Chun-Ling sneered. Cloud-piercing sword. Clang. The sword finger and the claw collided, creating a deafening sound. Puff! Wang Jing retreated dozens of steps, a mouthful of blood in her mouth. She was shocked. Only in direct combat did Wang Jing realize how terrifying the technique was. Lower-tier deity-level cultivation technique. Within the sanctuary, only Zhao Guang could comprehend a deity-level cultivation technique. But the 5th-ranked disciple of Fengwang Valley could. Fengwang Valley was too powerful. I've said it before, I alone can destroy all of you, Chun-Ling said coldly. Rumble. After 20 moves, Wang Jing was unwilling to admit defeat. She turned into a mist of light and teleported away. Sweeping her gaze across the two, Chun-Ling coldly said, "You, who is ranked 2nd, step forward." Zhao Guang and Chun Liang felt deeply humiliated. A 5th-ranked disciple had the power to destroy all the holy disciples in the sanctuary. This was too much. Suyu stood quietly, his silver hair fluttering in the wind. "Why don't you challenge me first?" Swoosh! Chun Liang glared at Suyu, stepping forward. "With me here, do you think you have a chance?" "Humph. Enjoy the pity of your enemy and live on." Chun Liang glared at Chun-Ling. "Enough of your arrogance. It's my turn to destroy your Fengwang Valley." Mountain and River Whip. Chun Liang suddenly pulled out a black leather whip. It was the whip technique he specialized in. Rumble. As the whip lashed out, the air crackled. The ear-piercing sound of the whip exceeded the speed of sound. The whip arrived first, followed by the sound of the whip. Cloud-piercing sword. Chun-Ling's expression turned serious. Rumble. Chun-Ling cried out in pain, retreating a few steps. Her fingers were dripping with blood. That whip had shattered her vital energy defense, almost breaking her fingers. Chun Liang laughed in disdain. "You can't even withstand a single blow, a frog in a well. How dare you be so arrogant?" Chun-Ling was furious. She was indeed too arrogant and had underestimated the sanctuary. But Chun-Ling's trump card did not stop there. Broken sword in the sky. Chun-Ling pulled out a soft sword from her waist. Creak! The sword glowed, radiating a cold light. The silver-white soft sword was like a long snake, swaying back and forth. You overestimate yourself. Chun Liang laughed coldly, lashing out with his whip. But this time, the silver-white soft sword was like a soft snake, coiling around the long whip. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Following the long whip, the soft sword shot up. Ah! Chun Liang's wrist felt like it had been bitten by a venomous snake, cold and stinging. He subconsciously let go of the whip, and the sword pierced his shoulder. Puff! Chun Liang's shoulder was sliced open, fresh blood spurting out. He was sent flying, defeated on the spot. Outside, Li Guang suddenly stood up, his eyes filled with shock. 3 consecutive defeats. 4th to 2nd place had all been defeated by the same person. Within the forbidden grounds, Chun Ling was panting, her energy depleted. Chun Liang was harder to deal with than she had imagined. She had long since retracted her arrogance. Chun Liang was already difficult to deal with. What more the unfathomable Zhao Guang? Just as Chun Ling was about to challenge Zhao Guang, Lu Guang calmly said, "You are no match for him. Challenge Su Yu. Remember, teach him a lesson." Chun Ling laughed coldly. "Yes, senior." Looking at Su Yu with a mocking gaze, Chun Ling said sarcastically, "A toad lusting for swan meat. Sienna is senior Lu Guang's woman. You don't have to join the fun. I'll give you a chance to understand the cruelty of this world." Su Yu stepped forward. Su Yu's expression was calm, calmly taking a few steps to the center of the ruins. "Open your eyes," Chun Ling growled. Su Yu shook his head, calmly replying, "You are not worthy of me opening my eyes. Trying to be mysterious. Then I shall use my sword to slice open your eyes and show you the cruelty of this world." Chun Ling's eyes glowed, her attack merciless. Cloud-piercing sword. The soft sword in her hand glowed brightly. Chun Liang had been defeated by this sword. But Su Yu stood at his original position, his hands behind his back, not making a move, until the soft sword was about to pierce his face. Crack! A crisp sound could be heard, a translucent wall appearing out of thin air. The soft silver sword could not penetrate even an inch. Chun Ling's expression froze. What is this? Where the heart is, everything will turn to ice. So you close his eyes, calmly saying. His silver hair fluttered in the wind. Creak! Suddenly, his silver hair danced wildly, transforming into countless ice needles, abruptly flying out. Ah! Pooh! The silver hair that had turned into ice, tough and cold, whipping Chun Ling's body. The silver hair pierced through her clothes, leaving behind countless bloody wounds. The powerful force sent her body flying. In an instant, she was sent flying with heavy injuries, vomiting blood, defeated. With a flash of light, Chun Ling was transported outside. The master of Fenghuang Valley slowly opened her eyes, calm. Chun Liang saw that it was Chun Ling, retreating with heavy injuries, and laughed coldly. Who asked you to be so arrogant? Do you know how powerful Senior Zhao is? Thinking back to Su Yu, Chun Liang felt indignant and envious, grunting. Su Yu was lucky the man who stole his woman gave him a helping hand, allowing him to survive. What the hell? Bah! Chun Ling had a bitter expression, walking to the master of Fenghuang Valley, reporting the situation. Master, I am useless and lost to Su Yu. Him? How many moves did he lose? The master of Fenghuang Valley was a little surprised, calmly asking. 1 move. Chun Ling's face turned red. To be more accurate, Su Yu had not even moved. She had been defeated with just his silver hair fluttering. The master of Fenghuang Valley was shocked, defeating Chun Ling in 1 move. Chun Liang was in disbelief. How? How could it be him? And defeated in 1 move? Chun Liang's face turned green, then red. Under the mocking gazes of Wang Jing and Wang Yin, he covered his face and lowered his head. The forbidden grounds were dead silent. He defeated Chun Ling without moving at all. The Fenghuang Valley disciples were shocked. The Su Yu that no one thought highly of was actually this powerful. Su Yu wins. Next, it's your turn to challenge. The black puppet announced. Su Yu stood at his original position, his silver hair fluttering, his purple robe like a fairy. He closed his eyes, calmly surveying the scene. Only he and Zhao Guang were left in the sanctuary. Fengwang Valley, excluding Qinling, had 9 people. Fengwang Valley, there are too many people. So you lightly sighed, Xian'er is waiting for me. So I'm sorry. I have to finish you all as soon as possible. The Fengwang Valley disciples were furious, arrogant. Unless you want to challenge both of us at the same time? Both of us? No. So you shook his head. Then don't boast so much. We do not even dare to challenge both of us at the same time. Who do you think you are? The Fengwang Valley disciples were filled with disdain. But Su Yu's next words caused the entire place to sink into silence. You are all wrong. I am indeed not challenging both of you, but all 6 of you at the same time. This way, the top 5 competition will end in one go. Su Yu's calm words shocked the entire place. Out of the 11 people present, 6 had been defeated, leaving only 5. The first stage of the competition was thus completed. Other than the top 3, all disciples of Fengwang Valley stepped forward. Su Yu stood with his hands behind his back, his silver hair and purple robes like an ancient king. Chapter 93. Su Yu, don't you dare humiliate us. The Fengwang Valley disciples were furious. 1 against 6. This was intolerable. Each of them was a dragon among men. In the future, they would at least be at level 9 peak, standing at the peak of the martial path. But now, a single person was challenging all 6 of them at the same time. The humiliation was infuriating. Referee, we refuse to accept the challenge. They were proud and would not allow themselves to be humiliated like this. The puppet referee replied, you do not have the right to refuse. Either fight or leave the forbidden grounds. The 6 of them were furious. They clenched their teeth, glaring at Su Yu as they stepped into the center of the ruins. Ignorant child, if you wish to provoke us, I have to tell you that you have succeeded. I will use your blood and tears to avenge your humiliation. With 6 people working together, who would dare to oppose them? So you would definitely lose. Feeling the gazes of the 6, Su Yu creased his brows. Humiliation? Don't tell me that you've never thought that I'm just talking about an ordinary matter. I alone am enough to fight the 6 of you. The 6 were furious. You are going too far. Don't blame us for being merciless if you want to die. Attack together. Grant him his wish. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 1 person appeared in each of the 6 directions. Weapons, holy decrees, top saint-level techniques, and even the 4th-ranked disciple used deity-level techniques. Their powerful attacks shook the ruins. The celestial fog trembled and the ruins rumbled. The 6 ultimate attacks of the martial path struck the purple-robed divine king, who stood silently in the ancient ruins. Whoosh! At this moment, the air suddenly turned cold. The cold wind howled, the clouds icy cold. It was as if spring had suddenly turned into winter. Rustle! Heavy snowflakes fell from the sky, hidden in the vast celestial fog, dreamy and blurry. The Fengwang Pavilion disciples were shocked. Snow? Snow was pure and crystal clear, reflecting the world's purest, yet coldest side. Crack! The snowflakes in the sky shattered, turning into a bone-chilling liquid that poured down. Cold rain drifted down, splashing in all directions, landing on everyone's clothes. Buzz, the cold rain of the Golden Age, a feast of ice and snow, bloomed. Outside the forbidden area, Chunling raised her head to look at the sky, stunned. Snow? Fengwang Valley is located at the southern tip of the continent. It is currently summer. Even though the forbidden area is cool, it should not be snowing. The master of Fengwang Valley was shocked. She looked at Li Guang and said faintly, if I remember correctly, you have a deity-level technique called Icy Heart Core. Once you have mastered it, you will be able to condense your ice blood and transform your heart into an icy heart core. Where the heart is, all things will turn into ice. Is this the ultimate meaning of this deity tier cultivation method? Li Guang looked up at the sky, full of snowflakes, a hint of relief on his face. So that's how it is. As expected, Su Yu's heart had already condensed into the icy heart core. Chun Liang, Wang Jing, and Wang Yin's expressions changed drastically. Wang Jing recalled, senior brothers and junior brothers. If I remember correctly, this is the first time it snowed in our sanctuary. The eyes of the three flickered with bewilderment as they thought of one person at the same time. Suyu. Could it be that the snow of heaven and earth fell because of him? At this moment, Kacha, the misty light flickered. 6 crystalline figures suddenly fell out of the misty light. There were so many of them that they formed a black mass. Su Rong, who had been sitting quietly, suddenly stood up. Upon closer inspection, her pupils dilated. Li Guang looked over and was also shocked. 6 people teleported away at the same time. What happened inside? Did you break the rules and get kicked out of the forbidden area? Su Rong was furious. Of the 10 disciples of Fengwang Valley, excluding Chun Ling, who had been defeated by Su Yu, 6 of them had been teleported away at once. 7 out of the 10 disciples were gone in an instant. Could it be that something had happened in the forbidden area? The ice in the 6 of them melted, their bodies cold and trembling. What was even colder was the fear in their hearts. For a moment, they thought they were already dead. If this was a life and death battle, the moment they condensed their ice would have been enough for Su Yu to kill them 10 times over. At this moment, they finally remembered what Su Yu had said. It was not that Su Yu was insulting them, but the 6 of them were no match for Su Yu. Just how strong was that silver-haired, purple-robed youth? Hearing Su Rong's furious rebuke, the 4th-ranked disciple bitterly said, "We were all defeated. Su Yu fought all 6 of us alone, and we were defeated at the same time." What? Su Rong's body trembled as she took a step back. Her eyes were shaking. 1 against 6 from Fengwang Valley, killed at the same time. Chun Liang, Wang Jing, and Wang gasped. So he was actually this powerful? Was he human, or was he a ghost? What kind of shocking change had happened to his body after experiencing a life and death crisis? 1 person defeating 6 at the same time. How domineering was that? To think that such a talent had appeared in the sanctuary. Thinking back to that day, Su Yu had risked his life to fight for an opportunity for himself. Li Guang was glad that he did not kill all of them that day. Otherwise, such a talent would have been buried in dust. The forbidden area was deathly silent. Snowflakes fell on the shoulders of the crowd. Everything was quiet, as if the previous scene had never happened. Su Yu had defeated 6 people alone, until the black puppet announced, "Su Yu wins. The competition of the top 5 is over." The final stage, the competition of the top 5. The black puppet calmly announced. The rules of the competition state that each person has 2 chances to be defeated. Hence, the first defeat will not send you out. The rules of the competition forbid killing. The final stage had come faster than expected. It was all thanks to Su Yu. The black puppet casually pointed at Zhao Guang. "You, step forward. Challenge the remaining 4. Zhao Guang's expression changed, his eyes burning with battle intent as he shot towards Su Yu. 1 against 6. How arrogant and heroic was this battle? But this battle was not won by the number 1 disciple of the sanctuary, Zhao Guang. It was won by the rising star of the generation, Su Yu. The undefeated figure of the purple-robed divine king shocked Zhao Guang for the first time. He could not deny that he had underestimated Su Yu. "You are a formidable opponent in my heart. You have the right to fight me for the top spot in the world. I look forward to fighting you." Zhao Guang stared at Su Yu, smiling. Su Yu calmly smiled, preparing to take a step forward. "But now, the person I want to challenge is not you. It's him." Zhao Guang's gaze shifted, his finger pointing at Lu Guang. The person he wanted to challenge was Yao Guang. Yao Guang lightly creased his brows. "You are not worthy to be my enemy," Zhao Guang coldly said. "Whether I am worthy or not, we will only know after we fight. But before I challenge you, I need to get rid of the trash. You, step forward." Zhao Guang pointed at the 3rd-ranked disciple of Fengwang Valley, a level 9 peak fighter. Lu Guang coldly grunted. "Jiang Xian, do not hold back. Do not let those who are not worthy to fight me come." Jiang Xian was beautiful and adorable, sticking out her tongue and blinking her large eyes. "I know, Senior Lu Guang." Whoosh! Jiang Xian stepped forward, her sweet and adorable smile revealing her charming dimples. Hee, big brother, I am afraid of pain. You have to take pity on me. You have 3 breaths time to be long-winded. Zhao Guang did not have the slightest bit of tenderness for the fairer sex. Jiang Exine wrinkled her nose. Humph. What a killjoy. I hate you. Chirp. Just as Jiang Exine spat out the last syllable, a ray of black light suddenly shot out from her red lips. The swiftness of his movements and the abruptness of his attack caught everyone off guard. Insignificant skill. Zhao Guang's expression was calm, as if he would not be affected even if Mount Tai collapsed. He tilted his head slightly, and the black light brushed past his shoulder. The third-rank girl was a rare martial artist who was proficient in hidden weapons. I'm so angry, Jiang Exine exclaimed, stomping her foot. But with a simple stomp, a transparent light shot out from the sole of her shoe. Whoosh! It stuck close to the ground, transparent and formless, hard to catch. Zhao Guang's expression was calm as he looked at Jiang Exine. He lifted the tip of his foot, and, at a certain moment, he suddenly stomped down. Pa! Under Zhao Guang's foot, a small transparent glass sword was crushed. Stupid brother, I am so angry. Jiang Exine flew forward. A glance, a finger, a strand of hair were all hidden weapons that could not be defended against. However, Zhao Guang's face was cold, and he was at ease. He did not even reveal half of his abilities. Rumble, half a cup of tea's time. Zhao Guang took advantage of Jiang Exine's weakness and hit her shoulder. Ah, stupid brother, I hate you. Jiang Exine was furious. This was the first time she had been defeated. With a smile, Zhao Guang sighed. I grew up in the forest and learned survival skills from wild beasts. Mere hidden weapons cannot harm me. Zhao Guang's life was strange. He had been abandoned in the forest when he was young and was taken away by the beasts. He had learned survival skills from the beasts, and in the harsh environment, his reaction speed was extremely fast. Hidden weapons were not as effective against him as a direct attack. You, step forward. Zhao Guang's breath was long, and he pointed at the second-ranked Fenghuang Valley disciple. Yao Guang snorted. Meng Lang, Jiang Exine is not good enough. Don't disappoint me. Meng Lang was like his name. He was thin and weak like a wolf. His eyes were sinister and deep, and his lips were cold. Senior Lu Guang, don't worry. Jiang Exine does not even have the courage to fight with me. It is not surprising that she lost. Jiang Exine stomped her foot angrily, but did not refute. In front of Meng Lang, she indeed did not have the courage to fight. He was too strong. Taking a step forward, Meng Lang looked at Zhao Guang, licked his lips, and said darkly, The number 1 genius of the heavenly sanctuary, I think it is just an undeserved reputation. Your ability is only average. Zhao Guang's expression was indifferent. Try it, and you will know. Whoosh! Meng Lang's eyes turned cold, like a wild wolf. With a tap of his toes, he turned into a shadow, circling around Zhao Guang. In an instant, Zhao Guang was surrounded by blurry shadows. The real Meng Lang could no longer be distinguished. Kiss of the hungry wolf. Meng Lang shouted. Rumble. Meng Lang's fists were pressed against his lower jaw, shaped like a pair of fangs. In an instant, countless shadows followed the same action, flying towards Zhao Guang. It was difficult to distinguish the real from the hundreds of fists. Deity-level technique, great success. Zhao Guang spat out these 6 words. Meng Lang laughed coldly. You should be proud to lose to the kiss of the hungry wolf. This move was personally taught by the Holy King. Rumble. Countless shadows suddenly shrunk, surrounding Zhao Guang in the center. Hundreds of fists attacked at the same time. Every punch contained the power to shatter mountains and rivers, instantly inflicting serious injuries. However, in an instant, Meng Lang screamed in pain. Retreating a few steps, his face filled with shock. Zhao Guang slowly retracted his fists, his expression calm. Sorry, I have also cultivated a deity-level technique, and great success. Meng Lang gasped. There was actually someone in the sanctuary who cultivated a deity-level technique. He had to admit that he had underestimated the sanctuary. Both deity-level techniques. Let's see who is more skilled. Meng Lang shouted. Rumble. The two figures battled, exchanging blows. Loud rumbles resounded throughout the universe. Debris flew everywhere. An immortal mist flowed. The battle between the two was evenly matched. Crackle, an hour passed. Meng Lang's expression was solemn. His qi and blood were pale, showing signs of weakness. On the other hand, Zhao Guang's breathing was steady. Even after such an intense battle, his stamina was still strong. It's over. Taking a deep breath, Zhao Guang leisurely raised his finger. In an instant, it was as if he had become another person. Shifting shadows. Creak. Zhao Guang disappeared from his original position. When he reappeared, he was behind Meng Lang. The time difference between before and after was negligible, as if he had teleported. Meng Lang did not even have time to react before he was struck in the back. Meng Lang had been defeated. With a shocked expression, Meng Lang exclaimed, "Another deity-level technique, a deity-level technique to comprehend speed. A person cultivating two deity-level techniques at the same time. How shocking was that?" Suyu was shocked. The two deity-level techniques that Zhao Guang had used were not from the 3 books in the Sanctuary Divine Pavilion. The Holy King must have given it to him privately. In terms of power, it might even be stronger than the 3 books. Yao Guang, you are the only one left. Zhao Guang stood with his hands behind his back, continuously defeating his opponents. His aura was imposing, his eyes burning with battle intent as he shot toward Yao Guang. Yao Guang took a step forward, his lips curving into a mocking smile. You have some ability. Zhao Guang was not moved by the mockery, his expression calm. You are strong, but the king of the century belongs to me. Zhao Guang. You overestimate yourself. Yao Guang shook his head. Strength and weakness are determined by strength, not arrogance. Zhao Guang said calmly. Lu Guang laughed arrogantly. That is the way you mortals test it. To me, anyone below the Holy King is an ant. No one is my match. Zhao Guang did not speak. He suddenly attacked, using his actions to prove the strength of the king of the century. You are not worthy to fight me. Lu Guang shook his head. Zhao Guang laughed angrily. Lu Guang, are the people of Fengwang Valley really so arrogant? I'm not arrogant. It is just that you do not understand my level. Lu Guang's expression was cold. Then what do you think is worthy of fighting someone as arrogant as you? Zhao Guang laughed angrily. He had never been looked down upon like this. This was the first time in his life. Lu Guang scanned the 4 of them, calmly saying, Jiang X and Meng Lang, the 2 of you, attack me together with Zhao Guang. He was going to fight 1 against 3. It was different from Su Yu's 1 against 6. Those 6 people were the weakest in Fengwang Valley. But now, they were the number 1 holy disciple of the sanctuary, the top 3 disciples of Fengwang Valley. The 3 of them were far more powerful than the other 6. To a certain extent, Lu Guang's challenge was even more shocking and subversive. Zhao Guang was furious. Lu Guang, do you think you are a god? However, a solemn voice interrupted his words. Whoosh, whoosh, Jiang Xian and Meng Lang landed beside Zhao Guang. Meng Lang's expression was unprecedentedly serious. He is a godlike genius. Jiang Xian's sweet little face was filled with astonishment as she clenched her hands tightly. I only hope that the 3 of us can join hands and withstand a single strike from senior brother Lu Guang. That way, I won't have any regrets in the battle of the century. Zhao Guang was shocked. Lu Guang was a godlike existence in the eyes of the disciples of Fengwang Valley. Sweeping his gaze across Su Yu, Zhao Guang grunted. What? Are you afraid of Junior Su and do not dare to fight him? So you excluded him. Lu Guang laughed calmly. Afraid of him? No, I just want him to have a chance to see the difference between us. The difference between a dragon and a worm. His fiancée is destined to be my woman. Lu Guang said confidently. Su Yu's expression was calm, a smile on his lips. Lu Guang, if you have time to waste, end the battle quickly. You and I will fight. Who is the dragon and who is the worm? You might have a new understanding. Lu Guang sneered. However, Su Yu interrupted him. Don't waste my time. If you want to fight, and it quickly. Suyu frowned. Suddenly, Suyu's brows twitched, a smile on his face. His tightly shut eyes trembled, as if he was about to open them. His lips parted slightly as he spoke. Or, I alone will fight all of you. I, Suyu, will end the battle of the century. One person against all. His words reverberated throughout the ancient ruins, like the voice of a divine king, lasting for a long time. This chapter of 4,000 words was considered a big chapter. In the future, he would update a chapter at 8 in the morning and another at 8 at night, 2 chapters a day. I'm a cripple, writing 1,000 words an hour, and that's after work. Chapter 94. Flowing Light laughed angrily. In the moon god continent, only he could look down on others, but no one could look down on him. Suyu was the first. The one to end the battle of the century is not you, but I, Lu Guang. Lu Guang stood proudly. He looked at Zhao Guang and the other two and said, each of you only has one chance to attack. Zhang Xian's eyes narrowed. 9 rays of black light shot out from her sleeves. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Lu Guang stood where he was, with a faint smile on his lips. The tip of his toes lightly touched the ground of the ruins. However, it was just a light touch, but it was as if it could destroy heaven and earth. Rumble, bang. Within a 3-meter radius of flowing light, the ancient ruins that had settled down exploded with a loud bang. Dust filled the sky and gravel flew everywhere. A vortex of dust and gravel merged with a huge wave and soared into the sky. Ding, ding, ding. The 9 rays of black light were all blocked by the huge waves. At the same time, Liu Guang stretched out a finger and pointed at a pebble. Whoosh! Ah! Zhang Xen didn't even have time to react before she was struck by the rubble. The mist of light flickered, and she, who had been defeated twice, was teleported away. The dust dissipated, and the gravel fell. Amidst the ruins in the desolated land, Lu Guang stood with his hands behind his back, like an invincible legend. Meng Lang fiercely swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Hungry wolf's kiss. Whoosh! The afterimage was like a dream, and it was hard to tell if it was real or not. Lu Guang, who was surrounded, had a leisurely smile on his lips as he stood with his hands behind his back. Suddenly, countless afterimages came from all directions, like a boundless flood. It looked like it was about to devour the flowing light. Ha! With a soft sound, the afterimages in the sky instantly vanished. There was only one real figure, fixed a meter away from flowing light. A wisp of Jinqi condensed into a sword and pressed against Meng Lang's forehead. Meng Lang was defeated. The mist of light flashed as he was teleported out of the forbidden grounds. From the beginning to the end, Lu Guang stood calmly with his hands behind his back and did not make a move. Zhao Guang sucked in a breath of cold air. True Qi has taken form. You've touched the level of a holy king. Holy King Li Guang once sighed. The mystic moon continent had limited resources and was unable to nurture a new generation of holy kings. However, flowing light defied the heavens and broke the shackles of heaven and earth, touching upon the level of a holy king. Liu Guang smiled without saying a word, a hint of mockery in his eyes. The meaning was clear, as if it was mocking him. Zhao Guang was the only one left. His strength was like an insurmountable mountain, shaking Zhao Guang's heart. But Zhao Guang had an undying fighting heart and would not give up so easily. 3 heads, 6 arms. Zhao Guang's palms and legs moved according to a special rhythm, his figure moving at high speed. In an instant, it was as if it had grown 2 more heads and 4 more arms. All directions were within the range of the attack. Meng Lang was defeated by this move. Take this, Zhao Guang bellowed. He was like a wild beast in the forest, his power like thunder. Boom! The 2 of them finally clashed. The sky shook violently, and dust filled the air. When the dust settled, a shocking scene appeared. Liu Guang sneered and raised a finger. Zhao Guang was frozen 3 meters away, unable to advance even an inch with his 3 heads and 6 arms. True Qi materialized into an ice wall, blocking Zhao Guang's attack. 1 finger was enough to suppress Zhao Guang. Gritting his teeth, Zhao Guang growled, shifting shadows. Whoosh! Zhao Guang disappeared into thin air and suddenly teleported behind Lu Guang. At this moment, Liu Guang did not even have the slightest time to react. Rumble! Zhao Guang's 6 arms attacked at the same time. Creak! Lu Guang was instantly killed. However, just as Zhao Guang's joy appeared, it completely froze. His fist did not feel like he was hitting anything. Instead, it felt like he was hitting air. What made his body stiffen even more was that a mocking voice came from behind him, right next to his ear. Is it fun to attack my afterimage? At the same time, a finger touched his back. Puff! Zhao Guang felt as if he was being crushed by a mountain. He spat out a mouthful of blood, tumbling in the air before falling to the ground. So fast! Zhao Guang's pupils dilated. Compared to his deity-level technique, shifting shadows, it was even faster. You're not the only one who has cultivated 2 deity-level techniques. Lu Guang smiled. The puppet referee announced, winner, Lu Guang. Next, Lu Guang, you will be the one to challenge. The puppet said. Lu Guang stood in the middle of the ruins, his gaze lightly drifting over Su Yu. I've let you linger at death's door until now. I can finally let you understand the difference between you and me with my own hands. But before that, small fries leave. Creak! Without turning his head, Lu Guang flicked his finger behind him. Ah! Zhao Guang was caught off guard, his shoulder armor pierced. Defeated twice, the fog of light surged forth, sending the unwilling Zhao Guang away. Outside the forbidden grounds, Zhao Guang knelt on one knee, ashamed. Disciple is useless. Please punish me, master. Li Guang was stunned for a long time, his old eyes gradually dimming. Get up. Maybe this is fate. My dream of 100 years has yet to be fulfilled. Li Guang's words were filled with sorrow. In that instant, he seemed to have aged 100 years, like an old man who had lost all signs of life, lifeless. His heart was dead. Su Rong had a look of pity, shaking her head. Li Guang, why are you so stubborn? Is she really worth all this? Li Guang closed his eyes, his old body trembling. He was like a man who had waited for 100 years, only to have his hopes dashed overnight. Master, the holy disciples could feel the holy king's sorrow, kneeling on the ground. Li Guang forced a smile. I'm fine. Zhao Guang's heart was filled with sorrow. Only he knew that the holy king had been waiting for one wish his entire life. It was a wish that cost him 100 years, a lifetime. He had gone from a young man to a frail old man for 100 years, all because of this wish. But in the end, Zhao Guang was unable to fulfill it for him. Self-blame and remorse filled his heart. Suddenly, a figure appeared in his mind. Zhao Guang was uncertain. Master, even though I've lost, there's still Junior Su. He might have a sliver of hope. Su Yu? Li Guang muttered the name. After a moment, he shook his head and laughed. He can't, within the forbidden grounds. Only 2 people were left in the ruins. A silver-haired man in purple robes had risen from humble beginnings, like a comet piercing through time and space. A legendary genius had defied the heavens, approaching the level of the Holy King, standing proudly at the peak of the world. The battle of the ages belonged to them. Lowly ant, I've shown you enough pity. Next, it's time to see the difference in our abilities. Lu Guang stood with his hands behind his back, his robes fluttering in the wind. His vital energy took form, forming 10 long swords that revolved around him. Once he got close, he would be pierced by 10,000 swords. Whoosh! Lu Guang's shadow flashed, disappearing into thin air. The next moment, he reappeared within 10 feet of Su Yu. 10 swords of vital energy aimed to strangle Su Yu. Su Yu stood with his hands behind his back, indifferent as he lightly shouted, I see heart core. Thump, thump. In his chest, a heart formed from ice suddenly beat. Deity-level cultivation technique, icy heart core, top class. His heart had transformed into an ice aperture exquisite heart. Wherever his heart went, all things would turn into ice. Crack. The water vapor in the air condensed into frost. With a thought, the frost turned into an ice wall. Crack. The vital energy swords shattered the ice wall, blocking for a moment. All that was left was an afterimage as it tried to strangle Su Yu. "Umph. Consider yourself fast." Lu Guang coldly snorted, his gaze sweeping the surroundings. However, his pupils shrank slightly. He actually did not notice Su Yu's figure. At this moment, snowflakes fell from above, accompanied by an indifferent voice. "Looking for me?" Looking up, Su Yu was floating in the air with his hands behind his back. Purple robes and silver hair, his body floating in the air, no different from a deity. Only a holy king could fly in the air. Top class of floating light shadow could temporarily fly in the air. Lu Guang was shocked, then coldly snorted, "You're just relying on a cultivation technique. Let me show you what true flying in the air is." Whoosh! Behind Lu Guang, vital energy formed a pair of wings, flapping as he floated in the air. The key to Holy King's ability to fly in the air was the transformation of vital energy. Lu Guang was close to the level of a Holy King. Simply transforming vital energy into wings could barely do it. Looking at each other, Lu Guang sneered, "Relying on a cultivation technique, you do have some skill. But next, I'll show you what a true deity-level cultivation technique is, top class." Divine Eagle Claw. Lu Guang growled. His 5 fingers formed a claw, a faint glow surrounding his fingers. Slashing down from the sky, the sharp eagle claws swooped down like an eagle from the 9th heaven. Rumble. The ruins beneath his feet rumbled, rubble and debris splashing everywhere. 5 1-meter-deep grooves were carved into the ground. Just a trace of the aftershock had such power. The power of a deity-level cultivation technique at top class was vast and mighty. Su Yu's expression was calm. Vital energy released from his hands, condensing into an icy sword of vital energy in his mind. With a light wave of his wrist, he slashed down for the sky. Rumble. The vital energy sword shattered, the aftershock splashing everywhere. Su Yu took 10 steps back, a metallic taste in his throat. Lu Guang stood still, calm, and unruffled. "We're both deity-level cultivation techniques at top class, but yours is merely a support type. How can it compare to my offensive type?" Su Yu was no match for Lu Guang, not because the icy heart core was not powerful enough. It was because the difference in cultivation levels was too great. Su Yu was only level 8 peak, but Lu Guang was level 9 peak. Both deity-level cultivation techniques at top class, Su Yu is naturally inferior. Being the king of the century is my honor. After this battle, I will definitely become the dragon of the 9th heaven, and you will be reduced to an ant for the rest of your life. Lu Guang had a faint mocking smile. "Don't worry, I will take good care of Sienna for you. Her heart and body belong to me, Lu Guang." With a playful smile, Lu Guang mocked, "I'm afraid Sienna does not know that she is about to become my woman. She is still foolishly calling me Senior Lu Guang, but in a few days, she will become a toy for me to conquer. Only a woman with the bloodline of the 9 phoenixes like her is worthy of my conquest. So give up. I, Lu Guang, will take your woman for you." Whoosh! Lu Guang disappeared once again. When he reappeared, he had teleported in front of Su Yu. Claw of the Divine Eagle. An earth-shattering strike tore Su Yu apart. Su Yu's expression was calm, but within the calmness was a murderous intent. It was like the calm before the storm. Sienna was his fiancée, the woman he swore to protect for the rest of his life. No one could blaspheme her, even if it was heaven, earth, or God. Blasphemers had to die. You should not have insulted her. Su Yu's voice was calm, but there was indifference hidden within the calmness. The indifference instantly froze the world. His hands, which had been clasped behind his back, were lowered for the first time. A purple lotus appeared in his right palm. The dazzling purple light reflected off Su Yu's icy expression. The petals were exquisite, the veins clear and lifelike. However, wisps of destructive aura that caused people's hearts to palpitate swept out. That energy caused Lu Guang's sinister smile to gradually stiffen, his scalp numb. His heart suddenly stopped beating, as if it had missed a beat. At this moment, he realized that he might have said the last thing he should have said in his life. "I want you dead," Suyu calmly said, taking a light step forward. This step seemed to cross heaven and earth, time and space, and all obstacles in the world. Chapter 95. The purple lotus in his palms spun in the air. It was beautiful and enchanting. The purple lotus in his hand clashed with Lu Guang's destructive claw. Rumble. An earth-shattering sound reverberated throughout the forbidden grounds, shaking the skies of Fengwang Valley. Outside the forbidden grounds, the disciples of Fengwang Valley felt the ground tremble and the buildings tremble. The combined power of two Saint Kings could only break through the celestial fog. At this moment, it was circulating rapidly. The sound that shook the heavens shook the earth. Whoosh! Li Guang and Su Rong's expressions changed. Zhao Guang, Chun Ling, and the other disciples were shocked. Su Rong's old face was filled with shock. This is a spirit-level technique. Spirit level? Both the Sanctuary Holy Disciples and the Fengwang Valley disciples were confused. Saint-level techniques were the pinnacle of martial arts. They had served the Holy King before and knew that there was a deity-level technique above the saint level. But what was a spirit-level technique? Could it be that a deity-level technique was not the end of martial arts? Li Guang's expression was serious, unable to hide the shock in his eyes. It's a spirit-level technique. This is an emergency. The duel must be stopped. And I must enter quickly. Su Rong was worried for Lu Guang. She immediately fought with the Holy King, expending all her holy energy to reopen the passage. Whoosh, whoosh, the two Holy Kings, the Holy Disciples, and the Fengwang Valley disciples all rushed in. However, what greeted their eyes was a shocking scene. Above the ruins was a scene of desolation. A 3-meter-wide crater had been blasted into the ground. The huge shockwave radiated in all directions, sending dust flying 10 meters into the air. The broken walls suffered devastating damage. Wisps of purple lightning flames burned the edge of the crater. Smoke and dust filled the air, the smell of burnt flesh filling the air. At the bottom of the crater, the handsome and elegant Lu Guang was covered in blood, looking battered and exhausted. His clothes had been burnt to ashes by the lightning flames. His once confident and invincible face was now covered in blood. His nostrils, mouth, and eyes were all bleeding. His long hair and eyebrows were all burnt. His features were twisted in pain, his eyes constricted in fear as he stared at Suyu. As for Suyu, he stood quietly above the deep pit. His calm expression did not change. Only his purple robe and silver hair fluttered like an immortal. That strike was like the strike of an immortal god. What kind of skill is that? Lu Guang's heart trembled. If he did not have the divine eagle's claw, which was at the great perfection of the deity-level technique, to resist for a moment, that blow was enough to completely destroy him. The purple lotus was exquisite and resplendent. However, after the collision, the sky was filled with purple thunder and fire, as if heavenly thunder had struck. This terrifying strike had surpassed the level of a martial artist. His intuition told him that even the best god-rank cultivation technique didn't possess such might. Suyu shook his head calmly. A dead man doesn't need to know. Whoosh! Suyu's shadow disappeared. He teleported above Lu Guang's head and stepped on his chest. Death was coming. For the first time in his life, he felt death. No matter how much he claimed to be a legendary genius, he still had to lower his noble head before death. No, don't kill me. I'm sorry. Lu Guang felt humiliated. His eyes flickered, and his heart was filled with fear and regret. If he had known that insulting Xiener would result in such a terrifying attack from Suyu, he wouldn't have acted so insolently. At the very least, it wouldn't be too late to say such words after he truly made Xiener his woman. Suyu calmly shook his head. Your eyes are flickering, and your words don't match your heart. You have no remorse. Die. Boom. Vital energy permeated his body. Under the icy heart core, an ice thorn formed and pierced toward Lu Guang's chest. Stop. Su Rong, who had entered the valley and witnessed everything in shock, cried out in alarm. The crowd was equally shocked. The legendary genius, Lu Guang, who was close to the level of a holy king, was actually being stepped on by Su Yu. His life and death were all within Su Yu's control. At this moment, the silver-haired, purple-robed figure was like an invincible legend amidst the snowflakes. His silver hair fluttered, blocking the side of Su Yu's face. However, it could not block his unrepentant killing intent. You separated me and Sienna just to give her to this scum to be defiled? You really are a good grandmother. Su Yu's cold voice shook the celestial fog and the hearts of people. No one knew what kind of insults Lu Guang had uttered. However, they could imagine that he had deeply humiliated Sienna. As a result, he had provoked Su Yu into revealing his shocking killing intent. Su Yu, I order you to let him go or die. The master of Fengwang Valley's aged eyes were filled with killing intent. In reality, she was hesitating, unsure if she should kill Su Yu. Su Yu is even more talented than Lu Guang. How could she kill such an outstanding talent so easily? Su Yu stepped on Lu Guang's head and laughed. This is the second time you've tried to kill me. Since I have to die, why should I spare his life? Die! Su Yu's eyes thorn suddenly pierced downward. Lu Guang's face was as red as a pig's liver. He was completely regretful. If he had known this would happen, he would not have provoked the terrifying Su Yu, even if it meant losing face. Stop! Your engagement with Sienna, I don't care anymore. Let him go immediately. In a moment of desperation, the master of Fengwang Valley put down her pride in order to save Lu Guang's life. However, Su Yu did not stop. He laughed coldly. You have no right to interfere with my Sienna's engagement. Don't treat this as charity. Su Yu, Sienna is yours. I was wrong. I will not fight for her. Please let me go. In the face of life and death, Lu Guang's body trembled. His voice was shrill, like a woman's due to fear. His eyes were filled with tears of fear. His spirit had completely collapsed. Su Yu's terrifying figure was imprinted in his soul. Su Yu was cold and merciless. His killing intent did not waver. The ice thorn pierced into the flesh of Lu Guang's chest. You're asking for death. Su Rong was furious. She was, after all, a holy king. She was a legend in the world, invincible. Her abilities could not be described with common sense. Su Yu's ice thorn had not fully pierced through when Su Rong teleported over. She was right in front of Su Yu and furiously slapped Su Yu's head. Before Lu Guang died, Su Yu would die first. Scram! I want to kill him. Don't even think of stopping me. Su Yu growled. Su Rong's killing intent was revealed. Junior, die. In this moment of life and death, Su Yu's heart would not die even if he killed Lu Guang. In this world, who could survive a blow from a holy king? An unprecedented crisis loomed over Su Yu. The swift and fierce palm energy set off a terrifying gale. Su Yu was sent flying into the air. The palm did not have the slightest intention of stopping. Instead, it seized the opportunity to kill Su Yu, who was flying backward. The fury of the Holy King could cause the mountains and rivers to bleed. As he flew, Su Yu's silver hair danced wildly in the air. His face was covered, but it could not hide his unrepentant killing intent. It also could not hide those eyes that were always tightly shut. Old dog, you forced me to do this. Su Yu's brows were filled with killing intent. First, she had arrogantly forced him to break off the engagement, then threatened to kill him. Now, her killing intent was revealed. Even if she really was Sienna's grandmother, Su Yu could not afford to be merciful. Arrogant rat, die. Hearing Su Yu's final words, Su Rong attacked furiously. Her palm energy was comparable to the power of a purple lotus. It was a deity-level cultivation technique. Its power was extraordinary and could destroy everything. But the next moment, Su Rong's heart skipped a beat. Su Yu's eyes, which had always been tightly shut, moved slightly, as if he was about to open. As a slit appeared, an aura that made her feel uneasy shot out. The sky, earth, forest, trees, and all living things trembled in the presence of this aura. It was as if a transcendent demonic power was sealed within those eyes. Once opened, it could destroy the world. Li Guang, who had rushed over to help, felt his heart beating wildly. Even he had been curious as to why Su Yu had never opened his eyes. Even when he had personally asked, Su Yu had only replied, "It is inconvenient to open them." He had thought that Su Yu might be hiding some sort of trump card. But now, the aura that made his heart beat uneasily was beyond his imagination. That aura was not a destructive force, but a mysterious force that even the Holy King could not comprehend. What was sealed within Su Yu's eyes? At this moment, his eyes, which had been tightly shut for a long time, finally opened for the first time. In that instant, a pair of magnificent eyes appeared. It was a pair of purple eyes, glowing with a gorgeous and mysterious light. This was the first time it had been revealed to the world. Other than some people who cultivated strange techniques that would have dark red eyes, there had never been purple eyes in the eyes of a human. It could be confirmed that those eyes were not human eyes, but the eyes of a divine spirit. Gorgeous, noble, mysterious. Just one look would cause one's heart to tremble. Time, light, seal. Su Yu growled in his heart, the 4 words resonating in his heart. A pair of mysterious and noble purple eyes glowed with a purple light. In an instant, the sky and earth, time and space, all seemed to freeze at this moment. The drifting white clouds came to an abrupt stop. The mountains and rivers suddenly stopped. The surging crowd froze. Even someone as powerful as the Holy King Su Rong, who was just inches away from Su Yu, could not move. What was hard to see with the naked eye was the purple shadow of a dragon coiling around Su Rong's body. It was this dragon shadow that had coiled around Su Rong's body, sealing her in the frozen time. She could not move at all. Her mind was working, her soul was shaken, and her panic was spreading. But it was as if her body was sealed by time, unable to move. In front of her, Su Yu's purple eyes were ice cold, his silver hair fluttering, like an inhuman divine spirit. "Old dog, I'll kill you first," Su Yu coldly shouted. Creak! A purple lotus flower appeared in his palm. It was beautiful, but contained destructive thunder and fire. The power of a divine-level technique was unparalleled in the world. "Purple star, thunderbolt," Su Yu growled, holding the purple lotus in his hand as he attacked Su Rong's body. Su Rong, who was sealed by time, had to withstand the powerful attack. Puff! Her chest was burned by the fierce thunder and fire, her flesh a bloody mess. The violent explosion shattered her internal organs. She spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. She, who was a legend in the world, had been injured by a junior, twice using the purple lotus, once using the seal of time. Su Yu's blood was pale, swaying as he fell from the sky. But the killing intent in his eyes did not diminish. The intent to destroy remained. "Die!" Su Yu clenched his teeth, raising a finger. Ice and thunder feast. The fusion of ice and thunder was a feast of the power of nature. The alternating purple and white light was like a divine light that could destroy the world. The icy heart core had reached the top class, and the purple star thunderbolt had broken through to stage 1 upper class. The power of the two was worlds apart from before. The fused ice and thunder feast had reached a whole new level. In terms of power, it was second only to the purple lotus, far above a divine-level technique. While there was still a sliver of a seal of time, he would completely destroy this old dog. 1 chapter at 8 in the morning, 1 at 8 at night, 2 chapters a day.